All right, welcome back to the Smash Cut podcast. I'm Matt Grayson. This is Blake Hammer, and Blake, take it away with the three-sentence summary.
Yeah, absolutely, Matt. And before I get to the 3 cent summary, I'm going to say from this episode on, we will be sans glasses. As much as we felt that the glasses added to the chill boy lifestyle and added an air of mystique to the podcast, we've received feedback from several audience members of ours that the glare from the sunglasses is extremely distracting and unpleasant for the viewing experience. So, as man of the people, we wanted to make the best viewing experience for the audience, and also, to be completely honest, I don't want to give myself a fucking headache every time I record.
Yep, that's a good
So
reason
no
too.
more glasses, but no one really fucking cares about our lives or us outside of this podcast.
Yeah,
So
let's hear the
let's
summary,
take it
Blake.
away with this 3 sentence summary. So in this movie, Seth and Evan are two high schoolers with hopes of fucking the girls of their dreams and continuing a cycle of codependency for the rest of their lives. They enlist their friend McLovin in a quest for liquor to impress the ladies until McLovin gets picked up by two police officers who treat their guns like their second cocks. The boys eventually get the liquor and the girls, but not before learning valuable lessons about friendships, relationships, and why you should never pick up your wife at a bar. This is Superbad.
Those were some real long sentences. You really stretched the limit on those. I liked it.
Yeah, dude. There's no law that says I can't do many run-on sentences in my summary, and I had a lot to say for this one. I
That's
have a
true.
lot
I
to
could
say in
tell.
this
I could
pod.
tell that you were excited for this one.
Dude, audience members strap in because this is one of my favorite movies, and we are probably hitting 2 hours on this pod because I'm itching to get out of my cage and just go.
All right, Blake.
Yep.
Which of the characters would be most useful to Mud in surviving on his island?
Okay, dude. I mean, you got to make more challenging questions, dude, because the answer to this, in my view, is obviously Officer Slater. He
This
he
is a great
knows
choice.
he knows everything there is to know about how to game the police system. He would somehow figure out a way, while Mud is a fugitive, to be collecting money off of him being a fugitive without turning him in. Like, this guy, he says every rule and he knows how to break in and not get caught. That's somebody that we need on the island, dude. Now, I do have an honorable mention for this question, and I'm going to bring up this character
All right, you find
way
that.
too much.
In the meantime, I just want to let you know, if you're new to the podcast, every episode we start with asking a question connected to the previous movie. Mud is a guy living on an island in the Mississippi River. It's really all you need to know. All right, let's hear your
Sure.
honorable mention.
So, the honorable mention, I'm going to bring up this actor and character a million times throughout the podcast. Evan's classmate, Maroki, from the home ec
I was
class.
a big fan of Maroki.
Dude, I have a lot to say about Maroki. And I actually, on the fly, am changing my side character ranking as we speak.
Oh,
But
boy.
Maroki is a flawless chef. So they gave him tiramisu, which, and I'll get into this, but Seth and Jules did a fucking dog shit job making that. Maroki was making restaurant quality food with high school home ec level ingredients. Like, this guy is the king of resources. I feel like not only would he kind of save the day, he would put together some like bomb ass face paint as well. So
To help them camouflage on the island.
yeah, dude, he would have Mud in like the most tasteful blackface of all time. So, and he would be in whiteface as well, so it would be okay.
Yeah, they would cancel each other out.
Yeah, dude, they combined they'd be just one Oreo of inclusion and diversity.
Well put. Getting to what I was saying before the question, I almost forgot, is that before you even get into the movie, the menu for the movie is so good.
Yeah,
We watched the extended unrated cut for those who might want to get it on Blu-ray. Uh, the menu had the great music to it, which was a great intro. Didn't really spoil the movie, and there's an entire disc too with extras that we will definitely get into as we go through the scenes in this movie.
I watched two of the extras on the second disc, and I have some thoughts on both. And then also for those new to the podcast, we are big proponents of physical media on this podcast.
Yep.
Jeff Bezos owns a lot of things, and as do the other like 4 billionaires who control all the streaming platforms. But one thing they will not own is our ability to watch whatever movie we want at any time with bonus features and director's commentary. So we buy a Blu-ray of every single movie we get. And Superbad, I will say, of the movies we've covered so far, is the best Blu-ray by far.
Yep.
2 disc, and you can tell that the cast and crew really put their all into Blu-ray features that only dumb fucking nerds like us watch. So I appreciate that.
And whichever company sells the Blu-rays, we will accept checks
Yeah,
for the endorsement that we just gave for that. I just
yeah.
wanted to add that in as well. So getting to the starting
We're
scene.
giving you guys a
Oh,
lot
okay.
of free advertising, so we expect some paid advertising at some point as well.
Yep. Yep.
Checks can be made out to the Smash Cut Podcast at gmail.com, so please hit us up.
I don't know if you can make checks out to an email, but we'll find out.
Dude, it's 2026. Come on. All right, let's get into the movie before
Yeah,
this
yeah.
turns
So
into a 3 hour podcast.
I agree. The starting scene of just like the song and the scene, like with the car driving, just right away the movie's in motion. I thought that was a great way to open the movie. The soundtrack from the start is just a banger. I know this isn't the reason anybody's watching this movie, but I thought that was worth appreciating.
No, I mean, I would agree with that, dude. I mean, I've watched some other Seth Rogen movies, and if this does make some money, we start a Patreon, you'll see my thoughts on one of his worst movies soon. But in some of his movies, he has kind of a bad habit of just throwing together songs that he likes, regardless of their fit with the story. This movie works because they're songs that, on their own, outside of the movie, are bangers, but then within the context of the movie, actively added to every scene they're in. I think the opening is kind of a great example of that. They're dancing to it. It's funny. The song sounds good, but it's also kind of setting up like these are a couple of doofuses who like don't really know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Their
Well,
moves
also
were not super smooth.
the soundtrack is mostly original stuff, so it's not, those aren't like needle drops. That's actually recorded for the movie,
Oh,
which I
dope.
feel like you can kind of feel throughout it with the funky like vibe to it. And I'll definitely be speaking more on that towards the segment section at the end here. But yeah, I thought the silhouettes, like it looked like a iTunes commercial, I guess. During that time, silhouettes dancing was just a big thing.
Yeah.
And one thing that, since we mentioned it from behind the scenes, is they recorded like something like 40 minutes of Michael Cera at the very least dancing, so that, and they specifically said so that people who sit on the DVD menu trying to see how long it goes, like waiting for it to
Yeah, the
loop,
loop.
it'll go like ridiculously long.
That's pretty badass,
Yeah,
dude.
I was a fan of that.
I do enjoy that. So getting into when they actually start speaking in the movie, 10 minutes into the pod. So
Yep.
Seth and Evan, Seth is driving over to pick Evan up, and he's telling him about his subscription to the Vagtastic Voyage, which the actual footage of the Vagtastic Voyage was on the second disc of the
Yep.
Blu-ray. And let me tell you, as somebody who knows a thing or two about the corn genre, the Vagtastic Voyage is a copy paste ripoff of the Bang Bus. Down even to the fact that the guy tells the girls that if they go on the bus, he'll give them money and then doesn't pay them at the end. That has happened at the end of every single Bang Bus I've ever
Really?
watched. Now,
Every season.
every single season it has the same ending. I'm like a woman's empowerment guy, so I'm really looking
Oh,
forward to the episode where the guy actually pays up, because like these girls are working hard. The one difference between the Vagtastic Voyage and the Bang Bus that I think is worth pointing out is in the Vagtastic Voyage bonus feature, the girls at one point are dominating the guy. They're putting their heels on his chest and like digging them into them. In the actual Bang Bus videos that the movie based this on, and this is how they avoided the copyright claim, I bet, the girls are never dominant in any kind of way. They
I
are
don't think that affects their
being
copyright
absolutely
claim.
defiled in all of the videos of the Bang Bus, at least the episodes that I've seen.
I
So
can't keep a straight face while you explain the recurring plot elements of Bang Bus
yeah.
episodes. But I was kind of surprised that made the second disc DVD, because it was like, it wasn't anything that you couldn't and probably haven't seen in like a rated R movie, but it was essentially just the recreation of the first half of a porn video and
yeah,
then the end of one. on
I
a
mean,
Blu-ray.
no money shot and no bottomless shots, but other than that, we had most of the and no penetration either. But we had most of the elements there. It was like 80% complete, and then
What grade
one
would you
added
give
them. I
that
mean,
clip?
that clip probably I give it like a 4 out of 10. I mean, they got
Damn.
the basic elements, but again, like it's hard to give you
You should
like
email Michael Cera and tell him that Vagtastic Voyage wasn't as good as you hoped on on the
I,
Blu-ray special
if
features.
if they really wanted to like make their mark on the entertainment industry, they should have showed like a little bit of penetration in there, just to like catch the audience off guard a little bit, for
That's the
scientific
difference.
reasons.
We show it all.
Yeah, dude,
It's like
that's the
when Mac and
problem.
Dennis wrote their movie, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that anyone wants to see my thoughts on some of the high value adult entertainment productions, but if you guys do want to check out one that has a pretty good plot, like a reality show, I'd highly recommend Browser's House 2. Anyway, in terms of legitimate films, so
I almost choked, dude. Okay.
in terms of legitimate films that we can watch that you legally are allowed to watch under 18, the Seth's opening kind of monologue about Vagtastic Voyage, it comes with the other sites. I was like, all right, I fuck with this. This is kind of like the Bang Bros Network package, but he's like, and he even told Evan, he's like, dude, you're not normal because you don't like this shit. And it's like, yeah, represent the Gooner community,
Really
Seth.
connected with that.
That I'm not a part of. I just support people expressing themselves
Oh, okay.
freely.
I see. I see.
But one thing Seth did say in this opening monologue that I'm gonna have to disagree with vehemently is that he said that he does not seeing pussy by itself. I personally really enjoy seeing pussy by itself, or connected to other
That
stuff.
was the first chink in the armor for the movie
So
for you. You're
there's
like, no, that's
there
ridiculous.
aren't many chinks in this movie's armor, but that definitely was one of them. I would disagree with that line. So I would say point Evan on that one. I think the score was about 4-1, Seth versus Evan in that debated exchange.
I know that this is going to be a controversial thing, but it is one of the first things I wrote down. I almost don't like Jonah Hill's character. It's
I
like on the like Seth in the movie, it's like on the borderline of he's just like redeemable enough that all right, but other than that, like most of the time he was doing stuff, I was like, this guy just sucks.
What I'll say with that is I can see how people would feel that way. I do think if you age up the character 10 years, he's on that borderline for me. The big thing with a lot of the scenes and issues he has is it's like this is very believable that an 18-year-old guy would not be
Oh,
able to kind
I
of
thought he played
properly
that
grapple with
tremendously.
this.
It was just like a small thing. Like as a viewer, I was like, like I would not want to be friends with this dude. This guy sucks.
I mean, I like he definitely has his flaws, and we'll get into those as they appear in the movie. But I think he does seem to genuinely really care about his friends. He just doesn't always kind of have the right mentality when it comes to things. But that seems like the kind of guy where it's like I would have chilled with him sometimes in high school. Not to get into a category too much, but I would have chilled with him occasionally in high school. And I feel like he's the kind of guy who kind of really comes into his own in the first couple of years of college.
All right.
I think him and Evan will both grow enormously from, even
Oh
though they're
yeah,
fictional characters, from spending some time away from each other and getting to meet some new people in college.
definitely could be
I
good for
think it's
them.
for the best for both of them that they're going into kind of a new surrounding on their own.
When they first it's that scene of them talking and walking, and the bully first appears. I don't
Yeah,
know his name.
Jesse.
Yeah, Jess. Which when they were talking about it later, I thought they were talking about a girl for some reason. But yeah, so Jesse first like turns and just hawks like a gigantic loogie at him. I was like, that's like one of the only parts of this movie that was unrealistic. Like, at what point in your life is the bully just like, oh, here comes that nerd? It's just so extreme.
Dude, high school's changed a lot since '07, dude. That used to be the norm. You see a nerd, you spit in their face, you give them a wedgie, you give them a purple Nurple, and you shove them in a locker. You go on your way. And I'm not going to let our discussion get any further before I bring up Evan's mom, Jane. I
You're a big
mean,
fan.
dude, her just bending over the car, as Seth said, like, man, you're so jealous you got to suck on those titties, man.
I was not as enthused, but I wasn't. I guess I wasn't. As invested.
One other quick detail with that opening scene that I will say is underappreciated, and this is actually something that I think has aged very well from the movie. The fellas are on the phone talking to each other as they go out to the car right in front of each other.
I've literally done that.
I've done that so many times, dude. I feel like
I feel
everyone
like
does
we've
that.
done that. Like I'm on the phone with
Probably,
you to like pull into your like outside your garage, and you're like, okay, I'm coming.
yeah, 100%. I think that's happened probably 50 plus times in our
Yeah.
friendship. So that was a nice little detail the movie captured. But yeah, so the bully spits on them, and then it's off to the races at the gas station where Seth is making a scene in public, just screaming about how he has not seen pussy in 2 years, and how he peaked too early in his ass getting career by getting 3/4 of a blowjob. Which I would like to know logistically, how does that work? How did you get 3/4 of a blowjob? Did she just give up 3/4 of the way through?
She
Like,
got
did she
like
have like
right
a meter?
above it, and then was like, no, never
Yeah,
mind.
she like tasted the tip and she's like yuck, and like
Oh my god, that's so much worse.
backed away. And then I mean I wrote down like 50 different lines as
I
I
didn't
was
think
going
about
through
the
this
fact
movie.
that he was screaming all that in a convenience store,
Yep.
like with people around, because they didn't show anybody's reaction. So it didn't really occur to me. Like, imagine being one of like a mom shopping for some quick groceries, and you just hear this guy yelling about getting 3/4 of a
Yeah,
blowjob.
and also you're there with like your 6-year-old like picking up milk or some shit, and he's just like oogling this porn mag, and he's like, "Man, like those are some sick titties."
My girlfriend was like, "Wait, do they just have those in grocery stores?" No, but
I,
I wouldn't be that surprised if a local market or something.
Dude, I think those are something that's gotten phased out in like the last 15 years. Like, I'm struggling to think of somewhere where I would even see like a Playboy.
I don't know if I've ever in like a regular store, or maybe a discount or an antique or.
I'm not saying like a vintage, like I've seen them in like an antique store, but I'm saying like you would never see that at like the airport or like a gas station.
Oh yeah, no, 100%.
I think that's something that's been phased out in like the last 15 years or so.
I right after was this right after that where it has the montage of them drinking together.
So there's like several scenes before that. So we'll have to wait a little bit into this, but
I didn't write enough down in between.
I wrote a lot down.
I was
So
locked in, dude. I was
dude,
locked in on this one.
I've and also for the audience context, much like Mud last week, which Matt has seen probably 3 or 4 times and knows better than some courses he took in school.
Oh yeah.
I have seen this movie now. I think this was the 4th time I've watched it. So I know every scene in and out, and I am going to bring up very niche elements of this movie and characters within it. So in that gas station scene, they're arguing about, like, we got to get some girls, like, what about Jules? What about Becca? And Seth points out he doesn't think he has a shot with Jules because, she got with some rip guys, she got with some hot guys. And then one guy she got with, he says, you ever stare into his eyes? It's like the first time I heard the Beatles. I'm like, I can't think of anyone that I've ever felt that way with. I've stared into some people's eyes and been like, there is nothing going on up here. But I haven't ever looked in someone's eyes and like had like a really positive connotation like that, especially another dude. But the other thing, he's like, oh, you're an upgrade from Becca's thing. I gotta really get some ass eating experience and pussy getting experience before college, because if you go to college, you don't want girls to think you suck dick eating pussy. And I was like,
Oh,
that's such
that's
a
that
bar.
classic line right
That's
there.
such a bar. I mean, I'm gonna bring up random quotes out of context
Also,
throughout the
him
podcast, but that was
him being
awesome.
like, if someone told me I was really good at dick giving, I'd be like, oh, thank you.
Yeah, dude. And I mean, as somebody who did not fuck at all in high school, which might be surprising to the viewers because I'm just such a Chad now, but someone who didn't fuck at all during high school, I will say the attitudes of Seth and Evan at this scene are eerily similar to how I thought around the fall of my senior
Oh
year of
yeah,
high
I
school.
remember
So this was kind of spot on writing by the writers.
them leaving the gas station thing and him being like, "Do you really think that's a good thing to say to somebody?" And he's like, "Yes, if someone told me that, I think it was awesome." That was like nearly line for line a conversation we've had
Probably, yeah.
in that year of high school.
I mean, there's one line that I watched this I think for the first time in high school, and there was one line that went completely over my head then because I actually thought it was a good idea that now I laughed at because it was preposterous. But there's a scene when they're on the track, and he's like, "Oh, like what's your plan with Jules, man?" And he's like, "Well, I'm either gonna eat her out for several hours, or I'm gonna dry hump her leg."
And you thought that was like a solid.
I was like, "Oh, dude, if I eat her out for 2 hours, she's gonna be so happy."
Oh my god! I can't get over the fact that you heard that in the movie and were like, "Oh yeah,
Yeah. I
nice."
mean, I was like 15 the first time I watched this
Dude,
movie.
that's not that young.
It's like 10 years ago. It's a while back.
Oh my god! I would have loved to just hear the story after that. You're like, "Yeah, I just tried to eat her up for 2 hours, and after the first hour, she's like, all right, I'm leaving."
Yeah, fortunately, I never did that in real life. But yeah, so after, and I mean, yeah, as you've probably picked up by now, most of this movie is just talking about sexual encounters and graphic nature. So if you are looking for, like a movie to watch with your children, of the non like horror movies we watch on this podcast, I would say this is among the worst.
Yeah, I would agree.
I think this
Definitely
is
not a child friend. The unrated extended cut in particular.
especially, I think they made it like 50% filthier than the R-rated version that was already pushing the boundaries of R.
Yeah, there's a great extra bit on the second disc about trying to do TV safe lines because this was still during a time, which I forgot about this honestly, where when you were making movies, especially rated R ones, the studio, I'm sure, mandated so they could make extra money that you refilm any scene with something you couldn't put on TV, like cable television, and make it cleaner, if not just cut out the scene if you couldn't figure it out, so that they could air it on TV and make money from that. So there's like a behind the scenes bit that's just like a compilation of all the nasty shit they say and like all the actors swearing during the movie, and then also one or two clips of them refilming scenes where they can't swear. And Jonah Hill's like, that was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. Like when they're on the soccer field, which I'm
Oh
sure we're
yeah.
about to get to, like an all timer comedy scene.
Yeah. I mean, it starts out even and something I don't think that's talked about a lot with this movie is the physical comedy. There isn't a lot of it, but it's really like just the way Jonah Hill runs on the soccer field is preposterously
Oh yeah.
unathletic.
I
It is
also
so
love.
funny.
I don't. I guess I just accidentally deleted my notes for this section because I remember writing down that when they're in all like the audition tapes and all the table reads and everything they're doing in the behind the scenes, when they're doing that scene, they're just sort of like occasionally watching the game and like the ball rolls by or something. I love that at one point Jonah Hill in the middle of talking is just like, "Oh fuck," and kicks the ball back at them.
Yeah, and again, their conversation topic hasn't really changed much. They're just in the middle of like their gym class field, just like talking about how they need to get pussy as like sophomore children try to play an actual game of soccer around them.
And also there's a couple like great cameos. The coach in that actually is the waiter from It's Always Sunny.
Oh shit!
Yeah, which that was a crazy one to see. And then also the Franco brother making a
Yes,
random
I did
appearance.
see that. we'll get to that. Also, the guy, and he hasn't popped up yet, but the guy who plays Mark, Kevin Corrigan, one of the wildest IMDb's I've seen. He has over 300 credits.
Who's Mark?
He is the guy in the Brazilian soccer jersey who screams at the guy who hits Seth with his car when he goes to his house party for using his phone, and who tries to fight Seth later on in the movie. But that actor is in over 300 movies, and I think all of them he's in like one or two scene parts.
That's so
He's
sick.
he's in The Departed, which I don't remember him in that movie, but IMDb does not lie. So
Well, we're getting really off track from where we started, but that party scene has actually a ton of cameos, like a ridiculous number in the background.
I mean, we'll get there when we get there. But before that happens, the boys get off the soccer field. They're in the hallway, and Becca approaches Evan and is like, "Hey, like, what are you up to tonight?" And he tells her about his worldly adventures and how he loves just being a mature presence. And then you see what's actually happening, and the fellas are shotgunning, giving nut taps, getting kicked out of
Okay,
the
so
club.
now we're at where I had it down to, which is I love the montage, the part where they're all, first of all, Jonah Hill nut tapping the
That was
other two
very
while they're
funny.
chugging the beers. That's where Vag-tastic Voyage first makes an appearance. And then that's what that was filmed for. It's on the laptop. Like, I don't know if you noticed that.
Damn.
That was what was on the laptop for that one part of a montage. They filmed that entire thing with whoever that lucky gentleman was,
Respect.
just to have that in there. And apparently Jonah Hill just like actually nut tapped them for that scene, based on some of the behind the scenes footage. And then I love that it just ends with Michael Cera yakking all over him.
Dude, I mean, there's actors will always love to say woe is me, but any job where you're getting paid to nut tap your friends, how bad can that be?
I mean, yeah, how old was he? Like 22, 23 at the time? Like
Something around that. Early 20s.
our age, either way. For
Yeah.
our age, that's such a sick job to have.
Imagine the director being like, "Yeah, Jonah, like that was a good take, but like you need to put a little more like oomph into your nut taps. Like I want him to really feel it."
And Michael Cera's like, excuse me, what? And then they're just action.
Yeah, they're like boom. Honestly, dude, that would tie in really well with the other special feature I watched, which was Everyone Hates Michael Cera, which was
Oh,
just
yeah.
a fake vlog of everyone just shitting on Michael Cera on the set for being annoying as fuck. And I feel like they purposely picked him out for that because I feel
Oh,
like
yeah.
he was the least problematic cast member that no one had an issue with. And this actually ties into another behind the scenes thing, which is that when they were doing auditions, you know, they're screen testing a bunch of different combos of people together for the main roles. Jonah Hill hated McLovin, Christopher
Oh,
Mintz-Plasse,
yeah.
the first time they recorded, and he's like, guys, like this guy's stepping, which kind of confirms what I already believe to be true, which is I think Jonah Hill's kind of an asshole in real life, although he is a talented actor. But he was like, he's stepping all over my lines, like he's fucking up my mojo, whatever. They watch back the tape. All Christopher Mintz-Plasse is doing is trying to make him look better and like adding to the scene. And they're like, well, I know we have you as like one of the leads, but like this guy's awesome, so we're gonna cast him as McLovin.
Yeah, I mean, I will say some of that probably came later because initially they just did a read together and he had his solo audition tape. But when he first went in with Jonah Hill and them and then walked out, what from what I've been able to gather as well, he like Jonah Hill and maybe Seth Rogen turned to the casting director and the director and were like, "Fuck that guy! Like I hate him," and they were like, "Okay, so that's perfect." And apparently, like Christopher Mintz Plasse, I think
Yeah,
it's pronounced something like that.
Plassey, I don't know.
Yeah, well, he was like a regular 17-year-old kid, hadn't acted in a movie
Yeah,
before, and came in and was like, "Oh, we're just talking shit. Like Jonah Hill talking shit at me. I'm gonna send it right back at him. That's how it's whatever." He didn't realize that when you rewatch the audition tapes, like knowing this, even the movie, you can tell that Jonah Hill like actually fucking hates this guy.
I think almost all his improv with Fogel is just him thinking of another way to shit on him.
Yeah,
To my knowledge, I don't think they, or I guess they were in This Is the End together, but not really in the same scenes. Or I don't even know if McLovin was in it, but anyway, they haven't done a bit movie where they collabed like for a lengthy period of time since. And it's not hard to see why. I think
yeah,
they really do not like each other. And it's funny that you mentioned that because not only was this Christopher Mintz-Plasse, which I don't fucking know his name, so I'm just going to call him McLovin for the rest of the pod.
yeah.
But not only was it McLovin's first film, but it was also Emma Stone's first film, which is really funny to
Really?
me that like a probably one of the greatest actress careers ever. Multiple Best Actress wins before 40, like hit after hit after hit. Started with her essentially being the love interest for Jonah Hill
Jonah
at his
Hill.
fattest and most out of shape.
Yeah, that's it. It was a little. It did stretch the imagination a little towards the end of the movie.
Yeah, I mean, usually when I see couples like that in real life, the guy is like a sheik or something. And I think Seth may have had like $8 to his name. So I don't really see that one happening in real life.
Dude, the moving forward a little bit in the plot, the home X scene is probably one of the best in the entire movie.
I think this is one of the. I mean, there's several peaks in the movie, but this was definitely the first peak. It was the peak of the first act for sure.
Just the
So
speech he gives to the home ec teacher.
yeah, and I also just love her expressions during it. And at the end, she just goes, "I invent odd numbers, Seth."
And it's like, wait a minute, but you just said there's another person without a partner. That means there aren't
Well,
an
I
odd
think
number to it.
normally there is, but
I
today's
know
a
it's just
special
funny
day.
that like that she said that before being like, all right, well, there's a person right there. Could you shut the fuck
Yeah.
up? Like,
I think she just wanted him to know that, like, I'm fed up with your bullshit and I'm ready for you to graduate as well. I don't want to see you in my classroom anymore. And honestly, like, I would have killed for a class like that in high school. We're making tiramisu with, like, your boys. Like, that
yeah,
seems like an
it seems
awesome
pretty sick. I'm
class.
not gonna lie. It was like a science class, but for home ec too.
Yeah, I mean, I did home ec in, like, middle school, and the only things we made were, like, scrambled eggs and, like, French toast. Like,
Yeah,
they're
it
like
was not
stepping
that
up their
much.
game, dude.
I this is where we get to. I think his name is Miroki.
Yes, and it's also the only first and only film of that actor, which is a real shame because I believe his name is Roger Arabu. I really wanted to see where he would go from
What the
here.
hell was that character supposed to be?
I
I
loved him.
genuinely didn't understand when the first cut to like Michael Cera being like, "Oh, hurry up! You're making me wait too long." Or ha ha ha. I was like, "Oh, okay." Funny, like Michael Cera being awkward, but then they kept just showing him treating Moroki like a child.
Dude, I think the whole point of that character is to show that Michael Cera can make friends outside of Stefan Fogel, which the other two can't. And his pal has childlike wonderment and a chef's eye in the kitchen, dude.
Like the
Maroke,
cat whiskers
yeah,
on.
that was
It's
so
like
awesome. And
what?
also, dude, I like how Michael Cera tried to cover his ears when they were doing the dishes because Seth was once again being vulgar in class and causing a scene. And Moroki, who's probably going to a better school and making more money than everyone else in the school combined,
Yeah,
needs to be protected from such vile language, dude.
you're a big Moroki defender.
Dude, I am the biggest Moroki apologist you'll ever meet.
I like that in the middle of intercutting between those. I forget what he was staring at, but just Fogel's like staring, and the professor's like, "Fogel, hi." Yeah.
Yeah. Fogel is not supposed to be in the classroom.
Oh, that's what it was. He was just
Yeah,
standing
he's
there.
not in the class, and he literally enters the classroom in the middle of like an active class, and he just goes, "Hey, gangsters, what's up?"
guys?
Like while the teacher's trying to instruct.
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah, they had like a whole conversation. Then when it ends and they walk away, he's just standing there. The teacher's like, "Fogel, hi." Like, what the fuck are you doing here?
Showed up. also, also, dude, we talked a lot about the Evan Moroki dynamic, and of course the Fogel entrance. What we did not yet touch on in the scene, which I think might be the funniest part of the scene, is Seth and Jules are our partners. Whatever, they're hitting it off. Seth is actively like fake fucking her and like
Oh yeah,
mouthing her, blowing her, and she just doesn't notice like whatsoever that he's doing all this shit. And she even looks at one point and he's like
yeah. He
and
like
and
stands
and
up and
she
just
and then
looks
he
up.
just goes like, oh, like at the cake, and she's like, yup, we're just making cakes, this is his method.
What was more crazy to me is that not only did no other student in the class like
Yeah, there's like
react to that,
20 other kids.
but also the room isn't that large, which means the teacher was also in the room somewhere because that went on for a while. So the teacher was somewhere just being like, "Ah, Seth,
She's like,
silly
man,
goose."
yeah, I cannot wait for this kid to graduate in 3 days, dude. I mean, I will say another thing, another small detail, and I think there's so many details that are really small this movie nails, which I think, again, is not talked about enough with this. The cake that Seth and Jules make together in this scene is so shitty and looks like what would happen if two high schoolers collabed in a home ec class. Like,
Yeah,
I'm actually really glad that the filmmakers portrayed, like, that they're shitty chefs because, like, these 17-year-olds with like no life experience and 18-year-olds like would not be good cooks. Like
yeah.
that was a really
Except
good touch.
Moroki, dude.
Well,
Moroki and
Moroki's a
Evan were
little bit
cooking up.
advanced for his age, dude. He may be 18, but he has the culinary skills
He's
of an advanced
prodigy.
master chef, dude. If Junior Master Chef existed when this movie was filmed, Moroki would be a top contender.
Oh, dude, he would take the dub for sure.
He would have to pull a Danny Almonte and lie about his age to get on the show, but he would be cooking it up as a
Did someone
12-year
do
old on the
that?
show. Well, this was on the Little League World Series, but
Oh,
there was a kid who was I think 2 or 3 years older than what the cutoff was supposed to be. And this was back in 2001, a little niche sports poll for the audience, the three of you that have watched a sport before. But he essentially, and would care about Little League, he essentially had his dad like forge his birth certificate, whatever, to play on a team. And he was like dominating. And one of the other coaches obviously was very upset about this. So they did some investigating. And I mean, all I'm going to say is there was a reason he lied about his age to play with Little Leaguers, because that boy was ass at baseball with children his own age. Like, I don't think he even played D1 in college, which baseball is one of the easiest sports to play D1 because you need like 40 guys per roster on like
All right,
200
you lost
schools.
me.
But
Way to
anyway,
go.
so that's kind of what Morogi would have to do. You'd have to forge his birth certificate to play, or like the guy in Benchwarmers, which is another great movie. But I digress. So after Fogel gives his infamous greeting, "Hey gangstas, what's up?" he immediately plays two big hits in a row by telling the fellas about how he got caught staring at a girl's ass in the hallway. And I love how as she's walking, his head is like bobbing along with it. And then she turns around and he goes, "Yeah, it's 10:34 a.m." when he gets caught. And then Seth, which again is something I would have done as well, completely unironically goes, "Dude, that was such a sick story. How did you do that, man?" Like, dude, I definitely would have said that. I actually remember someone in my high school turning to me and saying, like, "Dude, like, can you like walk in front of me so I can stare at this girl's ass while she walks by?" I was like, "This guy's so cool."
That's a preposterous thing to say to somebody. What? Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and then right after that, Fogel follows it up by telling them he's getting a fake ID, and he goes, "We're gonna get party and get crunk." I was like, "Hell yeah, dude!"
Dude, anytime Fogel says like anything party related, in my mind it's like a 13-year-old just said it.
Dude, it's a hoot and a holler every time Fogel speaks.
I like I assume this is moving forward a little bit, but the cafeteria scene,
Oh yeah.
like Fogel scenes are great, but I really like the scenes of just Michael Cera and Jonah Hill riffing. And the cafeteria one was a great example of that. Obviously, it has a very infamous.
Well, before that sequence, which we're going to talk about in great detail, but before that sequence and that scene, Michael Cera goes, and this is an underrated line as well. He goes, "I'd give my middle nut to get with Becca," but that means canonically Evan has 3 nuts in this movie.
I can't believe I glazed past that.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, that's an important. I did catch the 3. I just assumed it was a figure of speech, but now that you say it, I think you're right.
I mean, this is the kind of thing you pick up off on your third rewatch of the movie. Only real Superbad knowers would know this. But to get into the main point of the scene and why we're talking about it in detail, Seth begins to talk about how when he was a kid, he had a real issue with he just could not stop drawing dicks. And I mean, my first thought with all of that is the dick drawings he does are like professional artist level. Like, I don't know why he doesn't use his art talents to pick up women. Like, he's at
That's
the
true.
age now where he's old enough that at the very least the girls at his school will find the pictures a little bit funny.
Oh, so you're saying straightforwardly he should just show his dick drawings to girls as like a tactic to get laid?
Well, it wouldn't be like, I'm not saying he like intros himself that way, but like, they're getting into a convo, they're hitting it off, and the girl's like, "Oh, like, do you have any weird talents?" And he could be like, "Funny you should ask. Like, I have like the strangest gift ever." He would describe obviously what it is before showing anything. And if
You
she's
think,
like, "Oh, like,"
you
he's like,
think
"I have
him
a really
saying,
big talent for drawing dicks."
you
And
think
they'd be
him
like,
saying that I constantly draw detailed penises
"It's
wouldn't
abstract art, dude. Please show some respect
you
for
don't
the
see
artist."
any assumptions coming out of that might make it hard for him to
Well, maybe not in high school, maybe a little premature, but you get out of college, maybe move to Brooklyn, that's going to be a big hit.
go to Soho.
Yeah, go to Soho, show off your dick drawings in Bushwick, like you're going to get a lot of they Nemosi doing that.
Well,
Maybe not in high school though.
you heard it here, folks. I did write down that I thought during this whole dick montage that the child actor who was playing Jonah Hill, he doesn't really do much, but I thought he was so funny for some reason.
I wrote down with that actor, he looks to me a lot more like a young John C. Riley than he does a young Jonah Hill.
Yeah, he also was noticeably larger than I imagine either of those two people were as kids.
Yeah, but there's a lot of guys who are fat kids and grow up to be normal weight. I mean, John C. Riley, I'm say that because his hair and like face I thought was incredibly similar to him and not very similar to Jonah
I like
Hill's.
when he drops the note and the girl is
Oh
picking it
yeah.
up. He's just like looking away, and it's like, oh yeah, dude, that's they're never gonna know.
Dude, apparently it was a big struggle with the MPAA, which is the Film Rating Association, that decides like PG-13 or R to let this movie have an R rating specifically because of the dick scene. And they were very specific about like which if you could have veins in it, like how realistic they could look. Like they were very if they could have hairs, they were very detailed with
Oh
what they could
boy.
and could not show on screen.
Yeah, whichever intern was writing up that like memo or email or something to send them, like imagine just being tasked with like describe in detail which of these penises are acceptable for an R rating.
Dude, that has to be the most fun summer internship of all time.
One
You
of
just
the behind the scenes clip was them talking about how they like essentially held some sort of competition. So I assume other people besides just like Evan Goldberg's brother, I think it was, or was it his brother that did it?
yeah, it
One
was
of
his
those.
brother.
Because they were talking about like having a competition to see whose would make it into the movie. So maybe cast members got to submit like their own dick drawing to see if it would win the top 10.
I mean, dude, another crazy fact about the dick drawings is they used dozens in the movie. Apparently, Dave Goldberg, I believe that's his brother's name, drew thousands of dick pictures. Like, you only are seeing like the upper crust of his work, but they had almost 1,000 drawings that they could have used for the movie.
That's actually insane.
Which imagine being hired by the movie on set and you're like, oh, what's your title? And it's like, oh, I'm a creative consultant. And they're like, what does that mean? It's like, well, every day I have to draw 30 photos of dicks and the best three get on screen.
I think the dick scene is also where I started to think like there has to be something mentally off with Seth where like that is not only a thing he did, but he also just grew up to say the things that he says in public in this movie.
I mean, there's definitely some sort of sexual perversion going on there. I don't really know. I don't really know what specifically it is because, again, this is a comedy, so it doesn't really go in detail. When we do eventually get into an American Pie film on this podcast, I will
Oh
have a
my
lot
god.
to say about the psychology of Stifler. I don't think Seth is quite on that level. Again, some of this stuff I do think he can grow out of, but the way he talks about sex, I don't really know what he's getting his information from. I also read this character, and they don't really get into their personal lives very much in the movie, but I very much read Seth's character as an only child.
Oh yeah.
That like everything about him screams like I have always been the center of attention, and even the way he acts with Evan, it's like he's just substituting him as like a relationship essentially.
Yeah. Moving on past the cafeteria one.
Well, a few more things with the
Oh, okay.
cafeteria
Because I was
one
about to say, I
actually.
did want to add before we move past it that I love him being like, "What? Sitting here and eat dessert alone? Like
Yeah,
whatever that
like I'm
kid's
Steven
name."
Glansberg.
Yeah, I was like, "Damn, dude, just throwing strays at that random
Yeah,
kid for no reason."
and then as soon as he sits down, the guy just walks past him, and goes pussy. I also like how when he's telling Evan about how he had to go to counseling for it, he goes, "You know how many foods are shaped like dicks?" And he doesn't respond. He goes, "The best ones."
Popsicles, hot dogs.
Shortly after this exchange in the cafeteria, Seth, in one of his only chill articles of clothing, which is his Richard Pryor shirt, kind of dope, he encounters Jules in the hall, and they have one of first of their many awkward exchanges, which, again, I don't understand how Emma Stone, even in character, finds Seth remotely attractive because not only is he not physically attractive whatsoever, the things she says to her would make me somewhere, if I was a woman, between pity and a high degree of concern for the well-being of the guy, as well as how
Say,
he would act
your own
around me.
well-being as well.
Yeah, my own well-being as well. If I was Jules, my thought around Seth, number one, would be this is not someone I would leave alone with my drink, but she seems to find him oddly charming, even when he's saying things like, funny thing about my back is it's located on my cock.
Yeah, that's one of the main quotes I wrote down is, well, Jules, funny thing about my cock, it's located on, or to my back is it's located on my cock. I was like,
Well,
how did that just like go over? After that statement, she's like, oh.
no, she goes, what? And I think Jules is like the most oblivious person ever because he'll like say like the most over the top vulgar shit in front of her, and she's just like, what did you say? And you're like, nothing. And she's like, okay. But yeah, so Seth from this, even though, and even Evan realizes that this is very often the setup to get him to buy booze and then leave the party, is overjoyed with this, and he tells Evan, you know when you hear a girl say, "Oh, I was so shit faced last night, I shouldn't have fucked that guy." We could be that mistake.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, like this is another thing I probably would have thought at 16. So it's crazy how Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg, writing this movie, managed to tap like directly into the psyche of 16-year-old virgins who think they know shit about pussy. So,
Well, this was written starting when they were in like middle school.
13, yeah.
Yeah.
This was their second collab after their Star Wars spoof they wrote when they were 12. So
Him telling, and it's a classic scene, them on the soccer field, him telling Michael Cera about it. I thought it was a great example of this movie where I think that some of the scenes that work a lot better than others are the ones where they're kind of just riffing
yeah,
with each other, whereas the scenes where it tries to make them like interact more with the environment or the other character, like more than just the two of them, I feel like it gets a little bit messy. Not bad, but just not as like
I
hard
mean,
hitting as those scenes.
I do enjoy the scenes where they interact with the environment, and I'll call out some of those as we get to them. But yeah, I mean, I will say in terms of chemistry, these guys are top tier for any comedic duo.
Mm-hmm.
I might have them in my top three of all time. I don't want to say the other two because I am going to force us to do both of those movies in the not so distant future. I'll talk
Oh
more about
boy.
it then. But I will say, in terms of like younger actors, this is kind of the most chemistry in a comedy I've seen two guys in their 20s have. Typically, it takes a bit more age and experience to kind of acting to build that rapport with another actor. So, kind of two nailing on the casting choices there. And then McLovin obviously is just the absolute man of the movie. So, um, and then as they're waiting, so they get McLovin. And he's not showing up, so they're rambling about him in shop class. And
Oh
this,
yeah, in shop classes, I love the. Sorry, go ahead. I'll interject.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say the thing with shop class and the rest of their schedule. I was thinking about this, and again, this is the kind of shit you pick up on the third rewatch of the movie. These guys have, and especially for Evan, who's going to an Ivy League school, he's going to Dartmouth next year. He has the easiest schedule. The classes the movie shows them going to, and their schedule in school is gym, home ec, lunch, a second gym class, and then shop class. That was their schedule for the day. No math, no science, no English, just all of the fun electives.
Dude, I wish that could have been senior year.
I mean, if we didn't go to college and only did the bare minimum to graduate with a diploma, that could have been our second semester.
Yeah, that's true.
I,
That's true.
I knew a guy who did that, and that was basically what his second half of the year was. He had like 4 lunches.
Not only did the shop class look sick, which I'm just jealous because we didn't have a shop class,
Yeah.
and I thought that was stupid.
Another thing
But
I wish was still around.
yeah,
along
but
with
I loved
Playboys
him
and
being
gas
like, "What are you
stations.
doing?" He's just drilling holes.
Yeah. Literally, all they're doing is putting holes on a piece of wood. They're
And
just
then
wasting
Vogel pops
resources.
by, and he's like a literal skeleton of a person in
I
his
love
shirts.
Vogel.
It was almost like scary. And when he comes in to talk to them, like towards the end of that bit,
Yeah, that
um,
sequence.
I wrote down Blake has pulled a few Fogels back in his day.
Just bursting into the scene.
That's one of them.
I mean, dude, anytime a character in any movie or TV show just makes like a surprise entrance to a scene, my mind always goes to Kramer in Seinfeld just bursting through the door, like almost jumping past the door, like hey Jerry. Like whenever someone does an entrance like that, I don't know why. It could be like a black woman who is like 75 years old doing that, and I would still flash back to Kramer, which I don't think Michael Richards would like very much. But
Oops on his part.
oops,
Yep.
he made a big oopsies there. But in terms of another diverse thing that happened in the movie, so Fogel explains to them, and they do not like his idea of McLovin, and he told them, well, I was between McLovin and Muhammad. And Seth's like,
Why
what
would
the
you pick
fuck?
an
Why would you
ornament?
pick Muhammad? And he goes, Muhammad is the most commonly used name in the English language. Read a fucking book.
Yeah. I mean, this McLovin scene is a classic for a reason. It's probably the best scene in the movie.
It's the most memeable
This,
scene. I
yeah,
mean, not
for
to
sure.
spoil, but yeah.
At least one of them, but it's also the most famous. I mean, if you look up Superbad, it's basically
Probably
just
the
clips
first
of
clip
this
that
scene.
pops up. Yeah.
Yeah, and all the like audition tapes and the table readings, he says a couple more lines in between stuff, and I actually think that it was good they cut them down because he's like, "Oh, Seth, you're so predictable. Mohammed is actually I knew you'd say this, but Mohammed is actually the most popular." Or like, "Oh, ass face, it's actually the most common name of the thing." And I was like, "All right, whatever they
It,
were left with in the end was better than what it was on paper."
to use another sports metaphor, it's like they have him throwing fastballs and breaking pitches, and they cut it down so he's just throwing 105-mile-an-hour fastballs the entire scene. Every single line he says in that scene is laugh out loud funny from start to finish, which is it literally is like a perfect game for a comedy movie. There are like single digit scenes I can think of in other movies where every single line a character says is hilarious. I mean, he also says in that they're like, "Why did you pick 25?" He's like, "Man, everyone's saying they're 21 nowadays. I got to create some
How
distance."
many 21-year-olds do you think there are, idiot?
Yeah, and then Seth at one point goes, "You look like a future pedophile." And I literally was looking as like, man, this is like the face of like a guy who'd be on. Actually, you know who he looked like a lot? You know the guy who tried to shoot Trump? He
Yeah.
looks a lot like that kid in his ID. And I don't know who else auditioned for the McLovin part, but at least for that specific scene, I can't think of any actor where it would have been a funnier reveal of their face on it than him.
Yeah. Also, just the what one man, like, what are you, Seal?
Yeah.
And I love how he like assumes that girls he's hooking up with are gonna ask to see his ID, and then just
He's the
believe that
TMV.
that he's a 25-year-old Hawaiian man named McLovin.
I also like how Evan's only reaction is like, well, Hawaii, that'll be hard to trace.
And
As if
also,
they can't tell it's obviously fake.
when they switch outfits to go in, first of all, super iconic.
The vest is so dope. That would
The
be the outfit I would most want for the movie.
and also Jonah Hill's shirt is just so iconic, and
Yeah.
Michael Cera just dressed like Michael Cera. I bet he owned that clothing. I love
Yeah.
what he's like. Take off the vest. You look like Aladdin.
Dude, I also like how he's like, man, Seth's like, I gotta change for the party. Like when they're just fucking around playing PlayStation at Evan's house.
Oh,
And he
that was
goes, no
apparently a
one's
deleted scene. Was him trying on the shirts.
and he goes, no one's gotten a hand job in cargo shorts since Nam. And also another fun fact from behind the scenes was originally the script was written so that Seth was going to be the one playing PlayStation and Evan was going to be talking to him while he did it. And Sonny actually refused to license PlayStation to be used in the movie if Jonah Hill's character was the one who was playing the PlayStation. Because they claimed that his character was too vile. And Jonah Hill took a lot of offense to this because apparently the character in the movie was heavily based on him as a teenager.
You mean Seth Rogen?
No, Jonah Hill. The character was a mixture of Seth Rogen as a teenager, and then they weaved in elements of Jonah Hill as well in writing the script after they cast him. So he took great offense to that.
Because I was about to say his name is literally Seth.
Yeah, and I just put this together. Evan Goldberg.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and Fogel's a real person.
Yeah, their other friend is like Chad Fogel or something like
Yeah.
that. I actually just, again, man, third rewatch. I just put that together. They literally
That's
just
crazy.
put themselves in the movie.
Yeah, there's
That's-
a behind the scenes where the kid, where McLovin meets the real Fogel, and
Yeah.
it's so awkward because like he's clearly just saying whatever the fuck he wants because
Yeah.
he's a big shot now, and he's like, "This is the real Fogel. We share everything, our name and also his girlfriend. Come here." And then the girlfriend like awkwardly walks in between them, and he puts his arm around her with the guy over here, and the whole time, and he's like, "Say hello," and the whole
Bro.
time, like the real Fogel is just like, "This is." Oh yeah,
I love
okay.
how there's three of them growing up, and only one of them doesn't get into like screenwriting any of that shit at all. And I bet he's just going on the set like, what the fuck?
Yeah, dude.
He's like, why am I
Also,
in
like, you
this?
made me just an absolute fucking dork.
I mean, he's pimp at the end, dude. But speaking of McLovin in the liquor store, the only reason he even goes in liquor store is because Seth hypes himself up into going and is too much of a pussy. And he has a few hallucinations. My favorite one is the old lady just deciding to buy liquor for him, and her going, "Enjoy fucking Jules," and he goes,
Oh, yeah.
"Enjoy your remaining years."
That was great. I did
And
I did like all the dream ones. The throat
yeah,
slit was
that was
crazy.
very funny, dude. The so all of that leads to him being like, I'm not going in there, and then he makes Fogel go in there, and Fogel immediately knocks over a 6 pack of beers, which I that's another thing I think has changed in the last 15 years. I have not been to a gas station that I can remember where the beers were just. I've been to like a bulk warehouse kind of store where it was like that, but just a normal gas station when the beers were wrapped in like a can like that, just like the netting, no box.
Oh yeah, I feel like I've seen it. It's definitely not common anymore to
It's
be like,
definitely on the
especially the
wayside.
plastic ring,
Yeah.
like 6 pack of beer in movies that they're always carrying.
I feel
I've
like
never seen that in recent years, at
there was a
least.
big campaign that like those killed sea turtles and they kind of moved away from them.
Goddamn sea turtles get in the
Fucking
way of us.
turtles, dude. That's also why we have to do those bullshit paper straws that no one likes.
I feel like they gave up on those immediately. I haven't seen.
I hope so, dude.
I
Those
saw those
suck
like get more
ass.
common, then they just disappeared. All right. Well, anyway, moving
Yeah.
moving
So
past
so
the
after
turtles.
Fogel just ruins the janitor's day, he the other fellas are getting distracted outside. I already touched on the dry
Oh,
humping
dude,
line, but
Fogel, drop it and be like, "No, it's not mine. You should clean this up. Like, you should be ashamed of yourself." And
yeah,
the
such an
janitor's just like,
asshole.
"Oh, fuck my life."
I also so Seth and Evan immediately bail on him because they see some girl walking by who apparently got a breast reduction, and Evan is of course very pro this. You know, he's a respectful guy, and Seth goes, "Making her tits smaller is like slapping God in the face for giving you a gift."
I
And
also love that. Like, he's like, "Okay, yeah, the biggest shits I've ever seen. All right, let's go.
I
I
gotta
gotta
catch a
get a
glimpse
look
of
at
these
these
warlocks.
yeah,
warlocks."
I gotta
Let's make a
catch a
move.
glimpse of these warlocks. Let's make a move.
He's going around
And
the
then I
corner.
wrote down one of the only times I've ever seen Jonah Hill run was his character
Yeah.
saying, "I gotta go look at these tits," and sprinting away.
I don't know how many running scenes Jonah Hill has done in movies, but I think almost all of them were in this one.
Yeah, that was the best one, I think.
Yeah, of his 60 movies, this is like one of the two that he runs in.
And now we finally get introduced to Officer Slater and Officer Michaels.
Yeah. So McLovin gets mugged in the store, and the officers come into the rescue. First of all, their interaction with the store clerk was so funny. Where they're like, so he was
He's
a black African who looked
He's an
like an M&M.
African Jew,
Yeah.
and he's like, "Is Jewish?" I don't know. They're usually pretty docile. I was
Yeah.
like,
I
"Docile is
also
a crazy word, dude."
I also like how they went in the store and they were like, was he this tall or this tall or this tall or this tall? And she or yay high, and she just goes, he was 5'10". So the clerk runs away in tears because they're just being terrible at their job, and they talk to McLovin, and they're immediately suspicious of him, as pretty much everyone is for good reason. He looks like he's
Bro,
both
he
14
talked
and
like you.
40.
One of the first few times I ever saw you get carded at a restaurant. it
Yeah.
was it was great. Except he didn't have the handing his ID like that.
Yeah, just a normal thing, dude. When I go to a bar now, when they ask for my ID, I just start visibly trembling. That's not suspect at all. But they asked McLovin, and this was one of my favorite quotes in the entire movie. They go, "How old are you?" And he goes, "Old enough." And he goes, "Old enough to what?"
For
And he goes,
what?
"Old enough to party."
party. It's
Yeah.
like, hell yeah, dude.
So the officers realize what a pimp McLovin is, and they adopt him and they take him back to the squad car. And meanwhile, Seth's once again, grandstand and making a scene in the parking lot, and he just gets absolutely uh, trucked. Oh fuck! Literally trucked. That's how bad it was. I just slammed my mic doing that. He gets trucked by a vehicle driven by a guy named Francis, played by Jolo Trulio, who is the dumbass
So
cop
true.
on
Yeah, he was
Brooklyn Nine
Boyle,
Nine.
dude. I just rewatched Brooklyn
Yeah,
Nine-Nine, and I did not remember. I've only seen this once before, and I did not remember him being in the movie at all. So, like, watching the entire show of Brooklyn Nine-Nine with him just being a weird dork, and then showing up in this movie as like a total fucking creep was so funny.
yeah. I the first thing I wrote when his character appeared on screen is just that he is such a loser as a grown man that he immediately thinks to try to befriend two of the biggest losers in the local high school.
One of which he just hit with his car.
Yeah.
Also, he's the first of two people. I didn't even realize this until there was a behind the scenes bit about it, but um, that says to Michael Cera, Jimmy, you look like his brother.
Yeah.
Uh, the guy later in the movie says the same thing. I did not put those. I just thought it was just a random weird thing for the Boyle guy to say because it was so. He was like, "You really do, you really do," and then it cuts to them being like, "Okay, what the fuck?"
And speaking of first of two, this is the first of two times that Seth gets hit by a car in this movie.
Yep, I did. He was getting a little on my nerves, and then that scene happened, and I was like, "Okay, everything, the universe has leveled itself."
Yeah. I will say, I think one thing the movie really excels at is they clearly portray, Seth is probably the most problematic of the three main boys. Although we can argue McLovin is a side character. But they make sure he gets his comeuppance over and over and over before he's rewarded, and he actually has to show growth at the end of the movie to have a reward. But throughout the course of the movie, he face plants on someone, he gets hit by two cars, and he also gets struck with a baseball bat. So he definitely takes his share of bruises, and his car is impounded
Yeah,
for parking the faculty lot.
for
So
backing in the faculty lot.
blah, 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 blah. But speaking of absolute gibberish, the officers start talking like Yoda in the car with McLovin. And one detail I wrote down that I thought was hilarious is they're like, "Don't you know Yoda? He's from Attack of the Clones."
Yeah, I was like, of all the fucking movies,
Yeah.
that's the one that they go with. I also love. I don't know if it was right before that or right after that, but when it cuts to Jonah Hill being like, "Fuck, like the money is gone. We
Yeah.
gotta get the like screw the alcohol. What about the money? How much do you have?" And he's like, $7. What are you, a
$7.
fucking 6-year-old?
Yeah. And then as they arrive at the party, and it was also so funny. He's like, "Yo, you guys want to sit in the front with me?" And they're like, "No." And they get there, and Jolo Trulio goes, "Welcome to the Thunderdome. We're gonna rock out with our cocks out." And you almost see like Seth and Evan both just look at him like, "What the fuck?"
I'm not gonna lie. I loved him driving them to the party. I also love the cops taking Fogel with them to drive him there. Like, there's some
Yeah.
detours involved before we get there, but I love that they just follow. They're like, "Yeah, we'll drive you to your high school party." Like 25-year-olds attend.
I also do think it was a very smart move by the writers to separate Fogel from the other two guys to kind of let him have some time to shine. And I mean, we'll talk about it more probably in the bar scene with them, but I just love Officer Slater and Officer Michaels, dude. They are kind of what I wish the cops in my town were like, because they do not do their jobs whatsoever. And I actually wrote down, the more I thought about it during this movie, if I was a police recruiter, this is the movie I would show, dumbass, college grads who were trying to recruit to the force. These guys get 13 beers to go from the bar. They hang out with their boys all day. They can speed past any red light with no consequences. They can fuck around with breathalyzers and guns. And
They
best
gave
of all,
Fogel his gun.
they get free haircuts. So,
So
I mean,
basically a training video if you
dude,
really think about it.
I might have joined the force if I watched this at the right age. Shit. So cutting back to kind of the, I would say, lesser of the two side stories veering off, which is the Jolo party, which he quickly gets basically kicked out of for using a guy's phone. I also am not sure how he even knew about the party because it's very clear he wasn't invited there
Well,
and
dude, he
like
heard it
doesn't
through the
really know the
grapevine.
guy.
All the homies are at the party. He's like that one weird dude who's like always vaguely near them but not hanging out. So he heard them talk about it. It was like, all right, yeah, I'll pick up a couple high schoolers and then I'll be over.
He might be the original fringe guy, dude. He's like the guy that they all kind of know from work, but none of them want to tell him there's a party going on.
Yeah,
And also, I thought it was really funny how the janitor from the liquor store actually makes a second appearance at the party,
I did too. Yeah, that was one
and
of
he just
many good
starts chugging a
cameos.
beer. Yeah,
'Cause,
uh,
I actually wrote down. I thought the first party didn't really seem like that bad of a time before and after the brawl. During the brawl, if you were at that party, you'd be like, "What the fuck is going
yeah, I
on?"
would be
But
a
the
little
rest of the time,
nervous.
people were just like dancing and drinking, and like it just looked like a party for adults rather than high school children.
Yeah, I mean, they make a point that they're just way in over their head at the party. One of the guys at the party actually had a shirt. He said it said, "I'm such a loser, I'm cool." That's another shirt that I'm like, man, I got to incorporate that into my wardrobe.
Yeah.
If any listeners have a plug that can make me that shirt, I will wear it on a future
What
episode of
events
the
are you gonna
podcast.
wear that to? Like work
Obviously,
related?
yeah, the work holiday party. I'll introduce myself to the CEO's wife just wearing that shirt. She'll be like, "Oh, this guy has executive written all over him,
Oh
dude."
yeah.
Kind of pull like a Peter from Office Space on her. It's like, man, like this guy just is a straight shooter. And then another sequence soon after the party. So Seth and Evan get separated, which I believe is the first point in the movie where they are separated
At the very least, for like an extended
for an
sequence.
extended
Yeah.
period of time. And Seth, it goes to try to grab a bucket of beers and immediately starts getting grinded on by a girl while Big Papa plays, which I will say probably the best use of Biggie in any movie.
Really, that's the best one.
Yeah, dude. And then he soon discovers that it was a certain time of month, and she left a mark on
That
him.
was such a crazy moment, dude. It's like
Yeah.
that had like you could tell 100% that that scene was written by a guy.
Oh, I mean 1,000%. I think there were very few women involved with the creative behind the scenes shit for this movie. This is a
Yeah.
very male coded movie, and like, man, I'm a dude. Dudes rock, so
In
I enjoyed it.
between, I like how in between them being at that party, it also cuts to the B plot of the cops and Fogel, and when they're chasing that homeless guy.
Oh yeah, dude, at the bar, and neither of the cops immediately just start causing a scene and
And they
pulling out
start
their guns.
flagging the entire rest. He's
Yeah.
literally pointing his gun at like everyone in the restaurant. He's like, "Calm down."
Another minor detail I loved is Officer Michaels, as he runs into the restaurant, immediately just knocks the plate off of the patron's table. It's not in the way at all of the
There's
criminal.
like,
It's
I
like,
guess
I
they ended
did
up
this.
I guess they ended up on the cutting floor, but in one of the behind the scenes bit, it showed like a bunch of takes of them running around the restaurant, like shoving people over, like literally sending a guy almost through the window, trying to catch him. I don't know if you caught this or if you felt the same, but the old robber, the like old guy, homeless
Yeah.
dude, I guess, who was trying to rob the place, looked like the stunt double for the kid, and I think you should leave. And I fucking thought it would look
Oh
real.
yeah, yeah. He really did.
Yeah, he looked like the stunt double in the kid like cuts to with the kid.
Dude, that must be the A-lister of street scenes.
Yeah, I mean, he clearly elevated from street fights or street whatever it was called.
Bum fights to street scenes, man.
Yeah, dude.
He's taking it legitimate. And then McLovin kind of bumblefucks his way into catching the criminal, but then the boys are just drinking beers at the bar, and Officer Slater teaches the fellas a thing or two about love. He tells him that he met his second wife at paintball, which is where you want to meet your wife. You want to meet her, at a swap meet, at a pottery class, somewhere social, somewhere friendly, not at a bar. Because his wife at the bar, I love. This was something I actually missed, and this might only be in the unrated cut. But he said on our wedding night we had group sex. I wasn't involved.
Yeah, he's like I was listening to the wall or
Yeah,
something.
I could tell she was doing a good job.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
And then
That
he
was
also says,
an added scene for the extended cut.
I believe this was also only part of the extended cut. He goes, yeah, like, I thought she really was a whore. And then after a few months, I realized she actually was one.
Got her turning tricks on the street. And
Yeah.
Seth Rogen's like, oh yeah, I remember that.
I also love how Fogel that entire time is just nodding aloud. Like, he's like giving him a profound lesson. And then they go, yo, like, McLovin, like, how are you with the ladies? And he says, it's not the going with the ladies I care about. It's the coming.
Yeah.
They're like,
Yeah,
yo.
Nick Lovin's really trying to put bars down right now.
And then he asked them what having a gun like, and Officer Michaels go, having a gun is like having two cocks. If one of your cocks could kill someone.
Another classic Bill Hader line, dude. I
That was
love
such a
Bill
funny
Hader.
line.
He's like
Yeah,
one of my favorite comic actors of the modern era.
I think Bill Hader, and there are a couple other guys that say this about. I think Bill Hader is one of the most underrated actors of our generation. I know this is a movie podcast and not a TV podcast, but if you're listening to this, I would highly recommend watching Barry starring Bill
So
Hader.
good.
It is such a good show. I don't think nearly enough people know about it. I would say it is a prestige drama with comedic elements that I would say is on the level at maybe slightly below, but in the same ballpark is like Breaking Bad,
Or like The
Better Call
Sopranos
Saul,
or those.
Sopranos,
Yeah.
Wire. Any of those, I would watch that show over Mad Men. I don't know if that's a hot
Oh,
take or
any
not,
day,
but
dude.
come on now, it's a really fucking good show, and people should check it out because I don't think enough people realize kind of what dramatic chops Bill
He also
Hader
wrote and
has.
directed almost the entire last season.
Yeah, which is, in my opinion, the best season of the show. So.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to the actual movie at hand we're
They get their
discussing.
13 beers to go.
They get their 13 beers to
And
go.
I love Bill Hader being in the middle of the speech, and the radio's like, "Help! There's so much blood!" And he just turns his radio off.
It's like so fucking annoying.
Yeah,
And then they get a call about a party, like, oh, this will be fun.
yeah, yeah. And then it cuts to Michael Cera in the room with that guy
Yeah.
who is in the studio actually. That Seth Rogen,
Damn.
the show he makes. He's like the manager dude. He kind of also looks like Nick from New Girl, but it is in fact a different actor. But you could tell when he's like grabbing Michael Cera's face, he's like, "You look like Jimmy's brother." Like, "Oh, the artist." Like Michael Cera looks actually concerned.
I also, that is very relatable. I have accidentally walked into rooms where they're just doing coke or ketamine or another substance that I was not planning on doing, but just kind of fumbled into it.
Yeah.
And obviously, I never do that stuff because I'm a straight edge guy, as you can tell. That's how the hammer got so smooth. But I also love how Michael Cera's immediate reaction to that was like, I'm just gonna sing my way out of this. And the These Eyes rendition, I think, is one of probably his funniest moment in the entire movie.
I honestly I thought that was one of the scenes that could have been, I don't know if it was in the original cut, but could
It
have been
was.
left on the cutting room floor.
Disagree.
It went on for like 30 seconds longer than it needed to. I thought if it just played like a little clip of him singing it nervously and then cut.
I was starting to get into the song by the time it got cut off, dude. I if anything, I would have lengthened that sequence. And then I wrote down, so Mark, who's the Brazilian guy, the guy who's hosting the party, I think Kevin Corrigan's the actor's name. He's been in like 300 fucking things. He's really mad at Seth. He's like, I don't know what to do. And then his fiance gets really mad at him, which I was very confused why she was mad at him.
Because he didn't kiss her. Remember, she goes to kiss him and then he fumbles the bag.
But like, she's the one who bled on him, and she's also cheating on her fiance at his party in his house in front of like 20 people.
I don't think she's supposed to be the brightest bulb in the box. I think she's just angry, dude.
I don't know, dude. I read her as a Mensa scholar. But anyway, there's chaos ensues with the fight, and then the fellas get in a big argument, which I will say, and again, understandable because he's 18, but I thought Evan was completely in the right in his argument with Seth. Both the times Seth claims he's abandoned him, Evan was there. It is Michael Cera, so he's kind of a pussy, so I get it a little bit, but he stood by his guy. He got scared, which, I mean, shit, I would too.
There was a full-out weapon brawl in the living room.
There's also a point in the brawl where someone is punching a fat guy, and Michael Cera is just on the couch with a cushion between them. He's like, don't hurt me.
I also thought in that, like, I think it was right before their fight or during the fight, he's holding the detergent cans because he was trying
Yeah.
to steal beer. His genius idea was to empty out detergent cans and fill it. And any time in the movie that someone was drinking from those, I'm just like, this is kind of a dark movie because that's just poison. Like he,
I was gonna say, how did no one get poisoned from that?
yeah, like everyone would have died.
They could have went the Jonestown route with
Yeah,
this
it would have been a
one.
very different movie.
Yeah, just takes a very dark turn about 2/3 of the way through. So at this point, Evan gets hit by his second car. And then I love Officer Slater going, "Pussies on the pavement, fellas."
And then also both of him and Seth Rogen have their guns out and are constantly flagging each other, like pointing the guns in the same direction at each other.
Yeah.
I was like, these guys are experts. You could tell. And they're like, spread your cheeks.
Yeah, spread your cheeks. And they're also like, hold hands. And they're like, do we have to? He's like, yes.
Yeah. Isn't it? So then, doesn't Fogel come out? Like, how do they get separated from the cops? I don't
So
remember.
Michael Cera gets up and runs away.
Oh, and then
And
Fogel catches up with him.
yeah, and I wrote down that Michael Cera running looks like an autistic version of Tom Cruise. It's the same thing, but like just way more of an awkward motion. And another not so small detail that the film nailed is Seth Rogen has such bad cardio that he's getting outrun by Jonah Hill.
Yeah, yeah. I love like when it cuts to him just being like, ah. It looks like he's gonna yak.
And then from there, the three fellas link up. They catch a bus, and the homeless guy that Fogel caught with the cops escaped from their car and is pretty hammered. And he hits Seth with a bat, and then in what it was a very weirdly cinematic shot for a movie that's pretty standard camera work for the most part. Michael Cera makes a dramatic dive to try to recover the gold stick vodka for Becca, and it just
Oh yeah,
dramatically shatters on the
yeah,
floor.
yeah. That was on the bus, right?
Yeah, that was on the
Okay, because
bus.
that shot of the three of them, isn't it then or is it later or maybe earlier? The
Which
shot
shot?
of the three of them just sitting on the bus.
That's right before that happens.
Yeah, where it cuts and tilts over to them like that. I don't know. That shot was so good. I was like, this could have been the whole trailer. Could have just been this shot and then the title, and I would have seen that movie.
Dude, the movie had a ton, like it was touted, and I don't even know who does this, but it was touted as one of the best undeveloped scripts of like 2006. Like there was so much buzz for the movie that some of the producers were using this movie as like from the makers of for movies that were getting promoted before this film had even came out.
Yo,
Like
that's crazy.
people knew they had like a hit on their hands with this
Yeah.
one. So the boys finally get to the party, and Seth kind of wanders off, just starts getting plastered, and Evan tries to find Becca and her annoying ass friend with the screeching laugh, just awful, nails on a chalkboard levels of insufferable. Is like, oh, you gotta find Becca, and Becca is just shit faced. She, I don't even know. Like, I mean, that's white girl wasted, man.
Oh yeah,
That's like three White Claws and a couple
that was
Cosmo
like kick
shots.
her out of the open.
Yeah,
Levels of shit faced.
you're getting kicked from the function if
It's
you're
also
that
crazy
drunk.
because the guy who plays Clark in The Office, one of the new guys, like towards the
I
end
did
of the
write
show,
this down. Yeah,
is in the background, as well as Danny McBride, which is
did not know that.
pretty insane. Like even when they pointed out in the behind the scenes, I like still could barely tell it was him. He's in the background, and two other guys are famous, but the Clark guy is in the background of Michael Cera being inside, and Danny
Yeah,
McBride's behind him. Or maybe it was at the adult party that Danny McBride was at. It's more fitting for
that makes more
his
sense
vibe.
for his age too
Either
at the
way,
time.
cool cameo. But it shows Clark, and then it cuts to Michael Cera having walked over to the gazebo, and that same guy is behind the
Yeah,
table chatting as if he's been there the whole time. And it's like, oh damn, canonically, that side character has the ability to teleport, dude.
actually, one of the IMDb trivia's was that actor who I think his character is one of the worst parts of The Office, as well as the Pete guy who I can't even remember what actor played him. Those two are some of the worst characters in The Office. And Clark Duke has been in exactly one movie that I think he adds anything to, and it's not this one, obviously. But apparently, he just kept forcing his way into shots, and it was fucking with like the canon of
Continuity.
the movie, the continuity of the movie. but he just kept doing it. And they're like, fuck, we have to leave some of these in. He's in like almost every single shot of every single cut we did
That's
of
so
this
funny
scene.
because it was noticeable.
Yeah. So Evan is trying to be respectful, but their friend's like, it's not a big deal if you're also drunk. So he goes to the bathroom and he gets a half open beer and then starts trying to drink straight vodka from
Yeah,
the bottle.
just spits it on the mirror immediately. I was like, that was my
That
reaction the
would
first
be
time I took a shot.
that honestly, dude. If I tried to drink like a Taka vodka or a brand of that caliber now, I would probably have a similar reaction if I wasn't already shit faced. If you're sober and the first thing you drink is like a lukewarm bottle of that, I would feel disgusted.
Oh yeah, it was horrible. And I love like while that's happening, Jonah Hill is talking to Jules, is her
Yeah,
name? Yeah,
Jules.
talking to Jules, and he sounds like brain damaged. And in my head canon, it was because he's just been drinking poison for like 2 hours.
The
That's how he's
bleach is
talking.
starting to take effect.
Yeah, like he's literally his brain is just dying while he's talking to her, and it made it so much funnier.
Dude, I also liked so Michael Cera goes back to try to pick up the girl. First up, he cheerses to respecting women with her, which is such a baller move. And then they go to the. She's like, "Oh, we got to go to the bedroom. I have something secret to show you." And she starts trying to like, the process of fucking him. And she starts taking off his shirt, and he goes, "Be careful! It's a meaningful sweater to me. It's vintage."
Yeah, and then she's like, "Oh, you have such a smooth cock," and
Yeah.
he's like, "Oh, you would too if you were a boy."
Yeah.
I was like, "That's crazy, dude."
And then she's like, "Come and fuck me, you little bitch." He's like, "Oh, I don't know." And then she immediately keels over and yaks.
What a first time, dude. Would
Oh
you say that
man,
was better or
dude.
worse than yours?
That yeah. I mean, to not blatantly dox myself, I'm not going to get into the story on the podcast, but it was sober, unfortunately, but probably one I wish I was drunk for. And speaking of getting too drunk and making a bad decision, Seth immediately is like, "Yeah, I'm shit faced, so I'll try to make out with you." Doesn't work. He feels awful about it, so he tries to apologize and then just face plants on it.
And
And
hits her in the face. I
while
loved Emma Stone being like, "Ah, what the fuck?"
yeah, apparently that was improv. Um, that actually was a tough lesson I had to learn, which is that the more drunk you get, the harder it is to pick up girls. It is not attractive, and I made the mistake many times in high school and college of just getting shit faced or crossed at parties and then trying to speak and interact with other people.
Didn't
And
go well.
I think they might have thought that I was an alien from some of the things I was saying. Like I was on some way harder things than I actually
I think they
was.
might have
Because
just thought that you were retarded.
maybe, I mean, you'll win some, you'll lose some, dude. It's only retarded if other people say it's retarded.
Oh my god! And during that, like, I think it's right before he passes out when she's like, "Why did you think like buying me alcohol meant we were having sex?" And he's like, "You would never have sex with me while sober." And I was like, "Bro, what? That's
He's
such an
not wrong.
insanely rapey thing to say."
He's not wrong though.
What he takes from that is wrong, but he's not. I guess
Yeah.
the statement itself.
I think he learns his lesson at the end of the movie from that.
Yeah, he
And
gets his
she's like, "Yeah,
comeuppance.
like I don't drink at all. I was literally just doing this for my friend." And he's like, "What? Like you drink?" Just the way he says that is so funny.
Yeah.
And then I will say, McLovin brings lube, and there's a scene earlier where Evan has lube, and it's like, I don't remember lube being such a big thing when we were in high
Well,
school.
they distinctly make a joke out of how strange it is that he has it,
Yeah,
and events like he throws it away or whatever. So I think the point was that it was like a funny thing for him to have in the first scene, and then they later showed McLovin have it because it made it extra funny that like
they didn't
Jonah Hill
learn.
was like, "Why would you do that?" And then of course Fogel has it.
I mean, one of the only takes that Seth has about women that is correct in the movie is you do not need lube for an 18-year-old girl.
Well,
Like
also
this,
just showing up with it
yeah,
is
that's crazy. That's a diabolical
yeah, like
play.
showing up with a condom, you could be like, "Oh, like I always have this on me." Like I
Yeah,
wasn't expecting anything. But if you show up with a bottle of fucking lube, then like, I'm like, what the hell's wrong with you?
dude, I think that's one step below just showing up to the party with like a butt plug in your hand.
Yeah. I don't care if like that girl that McLovin gets with is the same age as him, like that kid looks like he's 12 years old. I don't,
So
I don't care
funny,
how old he's
funny
supposed to look.
behind the scenes thing with that scene. McLovin's actor was the only main member of the cast who was under 18. So he was 17 when they're filming the movie. Because of the laws around that, McLovin's mom had to be on set for a sex scene.
That's crazy, dude. This is two movies in a row where someone's getting statutorily raped.
Oh yeah, dude, that's
Awesome
not
statistic.
intentional by us. Not intentional by us. I don't even remember what movie we're doing next week. I think you wrote it down, Matt, but I'm pretty sure there are no children in the next movie.
I think it's Some Like It Hot.
Okay, so I actually haven't seen that movie.
Seems
So maybe
unlikely
it
to
is.
me that.
Spoiler alert. But anyways, I also loved how at one point after the whole thing went down, Evan's just chilling on the couch and he's like, "This is bullshit, man," and Moroki's just sitting there chilling.
Yeah, yeah. Oh wait, isn't Maroki the one who does a Christopher Walken impression?
In the deleted scene, not in the main movie.
Okay, it must have been a deleted scene. He does like a nearly minute long Christopher Walken impression talking to Evan or Seth. It's so funny.
But the at this point, the officers show up, and I love how Officer Michaels, one of the first things he says going to the party is,
I assume you all have guns and crack.
Get out of here, or I'll assume you all have guns and crack. And then also, like, they later reveal that they knew McLovin wasn't 25, but
"Yeah."
up until they hadn't revealed that yet. So when they bust down the door and catch him, I was like, oh no, are they going to be like, what are you doing with this high school girl? You're 25.
I also love how when they scare away McLovin's girl, she comes back in for her heels, and she just sees the two officers hugging McLovin, and she makes a look like, "What the fuck?"
Dude, that would be such an insane story in college. You're like, yeah, I was going to hook up with this twig of a human, and then cops busted in, and when I went back to get my shoes, they were crying or hugging him or something.
And then soon after that, they're walking out of the party, and Officer Slater just goes, "Prepare to be fucked by the long dick of the law."
Yeah, that was one of the quotes I wrote down. Just prepare to get fucked by the long dick of the law. I was like, dude, I wish I could see some body cam where an officer says that.
I also love while like Officer Michaels is doing that, locking down the perimeter, Officer Slater's just jamming out to fuck the police.
Dude, just a couple of boys.
They're absolute homies, dude. So they do McLovin a favor. They fake arrest him. Then they get Officer Slater absolutely smokes Jesse when he tries to disrespect them. he laid down the law on them. And they're like, let's do something fun. And they play Panama, which another great use of the soundtrack as they do donuts. And then Slater just absolutely bombs the car into a pool. And I wrote down just the facial expressions that Bill Hader makes while doing that are so funny. He's like, "Oh."
Dude, he's showing off for the boys. He's like, oh shit, this 17-year-old's gonna think I'm so cool.
Bill Hader is, and again, credit to his actor. He's such a good actor that you can see through his facial expressions the exact moment Slater realizes he's lost control of the car.
It just crashes the shit out of it. And I love how they just keep having McLovin sign shit saying that things happen the way they describe it.
I don't even remember what they say with the waiver, but they're like, "Yeah, like, so we came in there and there was like a guy overdosing on crack, right?" And he's like, "I got you guys."
Yeah. Just imagine there being their chief, where like you get their
Yeah,
daily
imagine the
report,
report.
and there's like 6 reports signed by the same person with one name. It's just McLovin, and every report is like, yeah, and then a guy shot our car a ton of times and blew it up and crashed it and threw this dude through a window. I mean, it was a lot. Like, McLovin was there; he'll tell you.
Yeah. And then McLovin finishes off their car by emptying the clip into their window. It was so sick.
When one of the behind the scenes bit was actually them taking my McLovin, the actor, to a gun range so he
That's
could shoot a
sick.
gun for the first time, and it's shooting a shotgun. And he reacts like my mom did when she shot my gun, dude. It's like, oh. And it looks like the shotgun's about to send him through the wall.
Bruh. So they cuts away from the cops at this point, and Evan and Seth tell each other, actually very sweet. They're like, "I love you, man. Like, I really appreciate you."
Yeah, it got really gay.
It did get really gay really quickly. And I just wrote down, like, they're going to get hit like a truck the first semester of college. Like, there was a point in that scene where Evan's like, I missed you so much when you went on an Easter trip with your family. And he did it. And they also, okay, they don't have smartphones, but they have the beeper phone, so they can do calls. So he's like, he was still able to call him and presumably do like that one finger texting thing. And he like could not handle it. Like, they're going to be fucked, dude, when they go to college.
Yeah, I mean,
It's going to be a rough one.
The two of them are going to be like trying to get girls and be like, hold on, I have to call Evan or I have to call Seth like 4 times a day.
Yeah, their first girlfriend, whichever one of them gets a girlfriend first in college, they're gonna think Seth and Evan is like an elderly family member. The amount of times they're like checking in on them,
Or they're just gonna think that they're a couple.
yeah, or they're like, "Are you cheating on me with like a massive fat man?" Yeah, are you cheating on me with a 12-year-old boy? You just hear his voice on the phone,
dude. Well, actually, if you think about it, he's gonna be like in a terrible spot, and then Fogel is gonna be there with him.
Oh, Fogel's gonna be.
Fogel are gonna become a dynamic duo.
Dude, Seth is gonna get replaced so quickly by Fogel. When the girls find out who McLovin is, it's over. So they wrap up the movie. Seth and Evan go to the mall, and I believe this is only in the extended cut, which is Seth doing basically sorority poses, trying to fit into some skinny jeans, which I thought were very funny. It looked like many photo ops I've seen. Like, I obviously can't get stand up because we're doing a podcast and I'd be off screen, but just the girls arching their back, putting their hands on their hips like ducklings. Like, no one naturally makes that pose. And like looking back in the camera smiling, it's like, who do you think you are, bro? Like, this isn't gymnastics class.
You know, he wanted to make sure that his ass looked good in those jeans.
Yeah,
and
dude.
Michael Cera was like, I think they're too tight everywhere.
His size 42 ass trying to cram in some size 32 jeans. The jeans are literally half the size of the shirt.
I think that's another one that it was good that they left on the cutting room floor in the original cut.
Yeah, I do not think we needed that scene. I do like how they end the movie kind of, picking up the girls, going their separate ways, pouring their codependent tendencies onto another person instead of each other. Just good
like
stuff
when the
all
girls
around.
are walking up to them in the mall right before that. He's like, holy shit.
Yeah, they freak out as if they didn't just spend the last night together with them the entire time.
He says that at like near full volume.
Yeah, and
she was like 10 feet away.
Dude, my headcanon for this movie is Jules is both hard of hearing and like legally blind because she can't pick up on any of the shit. He says it at full volume, like 10 feet away from her, with no one in front of them in earshot, and she just walks by smiling.
She's got a room temp IQ. She is a little blind, she's a little Helen Keller, and she will go well with Seth.
Yeah, dude. But the crazy thing is with Jules, and more specifically Emma Stone, I learned, is that Emma Stone is actually a natural blonde. And so to prepare for the movie, she dyed her hair brown. And then when she arrived on set, Judd Apatow told her that she can't have the same hair color as Becca because people would get them confused, I guess, which is preposterous now. But she had to dye her hair red, and it actually became her trademark from that because, again, this was her first movie. So she just became known as a ginger when she's actually blonde in real life.
Did not know this because, in my head, when I think about movies she's in, she's always a redhead.
And again, he doesn't even appear in this scene, but I just want to shout out again Roger Awami because it's his only movie, and I think he deserves his flowers for the way he played Moroki.
All right, well, we'll get back to more Moroki sections. Now that we've finished getting through the major beats of the movie, let's get into you have any other behind-the-scenes stuff? Because I have a couple things from the extras DVD that I think are worth getting into here.
I have a few. So the way that Michael Cera actually got in this movie is another famously awkward comedic actor, Jay Baruchel, and I might be saying his name wrong, but whatever. Jay Baruchel. He actually recommended Michael Cera because him and Seth Rogen are friends. For this movie, they collabed together, and this is the end. And then Michael Cera's mom actually recommended to him that he audition for the movie after reading the script. And then another funny fact about Michael Cera is that the entire movie, he did not break character once, did not laugh at anything, never had to cut Wuhana because of him. The only time that he broke character was at one point Jonah Hill sneezed really loudly, and he laughed.
In the behind the scenes.
And then the biggest kind of casting what ifs for the movie. So There was an earlier version of this movie that they were kind of floating around in 2001, Judd Apatow, where Seth Rogen was Seth, and then Evan was actually Jason
Whatever
Segel,
Seagal. Yeah, the table
better
read
known
for
for
that version was in
yeah
the extra disc.
for getting Sarah Marshall. And then the other big casting what if, and I actually think she is a little too young, I think, at the time for this to work, but in a few years later, I think she could have been really good in the role. Jennifer Lawrence was considered for the Emma Stone part.
Oh, damn.
And then last thing I have on this, and this would be surprising. Matt, guess which celebrity called this their favorite movie ever?
I don't know.
Eminem.
Yeah, not that surprising.
Yeah.
It is a classic. It seems like a movie he'd enjoy. Would have been great if they got an Eminem feature of him playing himself in the movie.
They did in a later Seth Rogen movie. He's in The Interview.
Yep, that is true. An all-time cameo on that one for sure.
One of the best celebrity cameos in a movie.
They so speaking of celebrity cameos, one of the extras is called Cop Car Confessions, and it's basically just improv skits of Bill Hader and Seth Rogen as cops in the car, and then like a different actor for each scene in the back. One of them actually was Judd Apatow, but they're just doing improv and riffing. And one is Craig Robinson, who was Daryl in The Office,
Oh.
also collaborates with Seth Rogen in This Is the End and a couple other of his movies. Is just in the back with like powder all over here. And he's like, "They just came in and arrested me. I have no idea why." Like, that's crazy. Like, I have no idea either. What do you think it was? He's like, "I don't know. It's just like making bagels or something, like something with flour." There was one with a squirrel guy that I just thought was a "I think you should leave" sketch type thing. Kristen Wiig was in one. The guy who played Boyle in Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Joel Trujillo.
Jolo Trulio. Probably saying that wrong.
Not what it is. Was in there talking about Olive Garden for like 10 straight minutes with them. And then there was one with, I think it's the Asian guy from The Hangover, if not.
Oh, Ken Jeong?
Yeah, is he the same one as the one in Community, or is that a different guy?
No, it's the same guy.
Oh, yeah, I think it was him
Mr.
dressed as a
Chow.
woman. And this one definitely could not be released today because they're just talking about how convincing he is at passing as a woman, and how they're next time they'll be on the lookout because they'll be on Tranny Watch.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's they frequently use a word that refers to a pack of British cigarettes in this movie, which we cannot and will not say on this podcast. But yeah, that's definitely another element of the movie where it's like this could not be in the movie today. Seth frequently does a play on Fogel's name using that word. Yeah, and while I did laugh at that several times, it's like
it rhymes with Craggle from the Lego movie.
It would not work in the film today.
They also had Adam Scott in one of those.
Damn, just a who's who of 2000s.
About how they caught him jerking off in like a parking lot or something, and he just goes on a long rant about how he was not doing that and that he was having a boner contest just by himself because it's different than when you compete with other people.
Damn, dude, the predecessor to the modern day wink battle.
Yeah, dude, and then they have the guy Justin Long from Idiocracy.
I did see that.
Basically, just being Matt McConaughey. Was a funny, because we just did Mud. I thought that was funny. And also in one of the behind the scenes bit, Jonah Hill, like when they were going to film the first scene for the movie, which is them on the soccer field, I guess for the first take, they were talking about it beforehand, but then they start and Jonah Hill runs up and then just tries to forcibly kiss Michael Cera. And Michael Cera like laughs and is like, "Oh, I feel like Justin Long." And I was like, Jonah Hill and him have been in a movie together, but they definitely didn't kiss in Accepted. And so I look up what is this joke? And the Google AI summary is like, what you might be referring to is that in 2023, this girl from Zoe 101, who was 16 at the time in 2007 or 8, accused Jonah Hill of trying to forcibly kiss her at one of Justin Long's parties. And I was like, the timing, that is right before this movie was coming out. Like,
not great.
I actually don't think that it was a related comment. Like, I imagine it had to do with something behind the scenes because Accepted was filmed like right before this.
It was literally the year before.
It was something on that, but if it was referring to that event that allegedly transpired. Like, that's so crazy that that made the behind the scenes cut.
Again, Jonah Hill, great actor, does not seem like a great guy. Just a hunch I get from like the pretty much every behind the scenes nugget or personal story that surfaces around him. Famously, the text that leaked of him where he just comes across as the most possessive asshole
Yep.
boyfriend ever. And as in typical Hollywood fashion, invokes just spiritual bullshit to justify him being a piece of shit. But yeah, so on that note, let's get into segments.
Yeah, yeah. Start us off.
So starting off, as always, would you chill with the leads of this movie? So, and again, and keep this in mind because this is going to come in handy later. I do not consider McLovin a lead for the purpose of the movie. The A plot of the movie is the relationship between Seth and Evan. So I actually would chill with both Seth and Evan, but the caveat is that we would have to chill individually. I would not chill with the two of them together because I think they would gang up on me. Unless we were in a big group,
They
because
would gang up on, like, they
Yes.
beat you up?
no, but they would start being dicks. They would be. Michael Cera is a very submissive guy, and Jonah Hill can be a very big asshole, as we just discussed. So I could see them just not Seth taking offense to something I did or said, and them just kind of going in on me. If we're in a group, he hates Fogel, so it'll be cool. And I will say another "What's Age the Worst" from this movie. Not to steal a rewatchable segment, but Fogel's name is the same last name as Jared from Subway. Which was a complete coincidence. I actually think it was before he even became famous, but just an unfortunate choice of words. It would kind of be like if there was just a character in one of these movies named Cosby.
Yeah, not ideal.
Not the best name to choose. But yeah, so I would chill with the leads, but they would have to be separated from each other for me to say yes to that.
Yeah, I just wrote meh. Neither one of them seemed like they'd be particularly fun, but I think, like, watching the two of them interact might be like essentially what the movie is. But like if you're at a party and you just see the two of them keep doing retarded shit like that,
Yeah.
that would be entertaining. I don't think I'd want to actually talk to them.
I don't know, dude. It looked like they had a pretty good time on their night out with Fogel. They were
Well-
shotgunning. They were going to clubs. They were having a good time, man.
Yeah, I mean those three seemed like a good matchup for each other. I don't know what combination I'd want to actually hang out with though.
I think just get the most entertainment value. No Michael Cera, just Fogel and Seth.
Yeah, just watch him bully Fogel for
Well, they're bullying each other, man. Fogel said some mean things as well. Read a fucking book, dude.
Well, I think I'm pretty sure we have a different choice for the next one for Foxiest Lady.
I really zagged on this one. So I'm going to let you do yours first because I think it builds up to what I'm about to
I
say.
zigged and you zagged.
Yep.
Yeah, well, I put Emma Stone. I don't
Not
think
my
that. I
choice.
think it's kind of a no-brainer. I also think she's one of my favorite actors, so that helps as well. That
So-
she did well.
Again, continuing the trend of the first shot, I just know who it is. As soon as Evan's mom bent over the car and you could see the cleavage of her womanly figure, I was like, I need to know
womanly
everything.
figure?
I need to know everything about this woman. I need to know what she does for fun. I need to know what kind of wine she likes. I need to know everything because she was an absolute fox, dude. And Seth had the wrong idea. He should have stuck with his original plan. Sure, Jules is nice. Sure, Becca's cool, whatever. But they're not Evan's mom, and they don't have the experience that Evan's mom has. And she probably had 20 years of just perfecting the art of lovemaking. And I would really love to hear more about kind of her perspective on the world
Yeah,
and
you were
what she
thinking
thinks
about
of
that?
her son and his jackass friends. I would love to have a wine night with her.
You know, I think that would have made an entertaining sequel. It's just Seth. It's just Seth trying to bang his mom.
Yeah. So for that reason, she is one of my several honorable mentions for side characters. I'm actually going to just go through my list 3-1 as usual. The one caveat I will give with my list is yes, I did consider McLovin a side character, and 2, just to not clog up the list with characters who interact repeatedly, I picked my favorite of the 2 officers for this one. So one is an honorable mention. one of them is in the top three. So my number three, I think I probably am the number one fan of this character. And again, Roger Awami, if you stumble upon this video, I am a huge fan of yours. Please hit me up in the comments section. I would love to interact with you and hear more about your involvement in this movie. But yeah, Moroki was my number three. I actually had someone else who is now an honorable mention as the three originally, but just the more I talked about him, it was like
Moroki's got to make the cut, dude.
Moroki has to make the cut.
He was a hidden gem in this one.
He was. I will say, I think one of the biggest crimes in Hollywood of the last 25 years is that Moroki didn't ascend to the A-list after this performance. Because I mean, the cat ears with the tiramisu alone, that's a star-making moment right there. I don't know what casting director kept snubbing over Roger
He should have been the
Awami.
lead of a romantic comedy right after that movie.
I honestly think Forgetting Sarah Marshall's a better movie if Roger Awami plays both Sarah Marshall or both Jason Segel and Russell Brand's parts in dual roles, kind of like Jack and Jill.
Yeah, dude. Classic hit.
That would have elevated it to perhaps the greatest comedy of all time.
The greatest comedy of all time.
Yeah,
is the Kamaroki.
A calamitous comedy with Mr. Moroki in many roles. But anyway, enough tongue twisters. Who is your number three, Matt?
My number three, I just heard Boyle, but it's Francis.
Yeah.
I thought not only was it way funnier just seeing like a guy I've never seen swear in that show almost immediately be like fuck in this one.
Yeah.
That on its own was funny, but also just every time he said anything to them, it was so painful.
So pathetic.
Like when he's just like, yeah, Dad, and puts his hand back and they don't high five it and he just puts it down and keeps driving. Like,
I also love how he went, guys, don't worry. I'm currently out on parole, but it was for a totally non-violent felony, so it's not a big deal. What do you think he was out on parole for?
I don't know, corruption of minors.
I think he was out on parole because he tried to sell baking soda to a police officer.
That probably both.
With a 14-year-old.
He tried to sell baking soda to a 14-year-old, telling them that.
Yeah,
was like,
he's an undercover informant.
he's telling them like a drug that it doesn't even look like. Like he's like, here's some weed.
All right. Who is your number two, Matt? We'll do a little snake draft.
My number two, that would be Moroki. I also thought,
yeah.
I readjusted my list. I couldn't even put him three. I had to put him two.
High praise, dude.
I think he really stole the show in this one.
Yeah.
And if anything, I was disappointed that the extended edition and the deleted scenes between them only had one extra Moroki scene. It was his fire Christopher Walken impression.
Dude, the feeling I got when I saw Moroki sitting on the couch with Evan at the party, it was like when I heard the Beatles for the first time. Yeah, my number two was Officer Slater. I mean, the police officer characters are very funny. I do give Officer Slater the edge over Officer Michaels because he was kind of the veteran of the force. I think Officer Michaels kind of learned a thing or two from him.
Yeah.
I also love how he described meeting his wife and almost immediately she was performing oral coitus on him. I don't know why. They actually, one of the bonus features, there's like a gag reel of him saying it a bunch of ways. It was like, all of these are funny, but just the way he delivered it in the final cut was so funny.
That was so good.
And also, too, they had an extended cut of the semen discussion with him that he spearheads, where it's like, man, like, not everything is covered in semen like they show on TV.
Yeah, I thought he was great. I definitely think he was the best cop of the two. And continuing the snake, he was actually my pick for number one side character in the movie. Just seemed like a wise guy to be taking tips from. He drove the boys around it. He did his trick with the car. Like, it didn't end well, but he sent it full hard for the boys.
All I know is if there is an Officer Slater in every police department, violent crime and arrest would plummet.
Yeah, or at the very least the ones that are getting caught.
So my number one, I don't know if you consider him a side character, but I mean, come on. It's McLovin. I mean, every single line after McLovin's mouth was just pure comic gold. As I said, he had the rare perfect game of a scene where every single thing he said was funny in the fake ID scene. I also loved, I think one thing they portrayed very realistically was how nervous he was to use his fake. He's literally shaking to use his fake. And he acts so fucking sus in the liquor store. And I also love how his undercover moments with the cops, he just plays up that he's just the biggest pimp of all time.
Yeah, dude.
And I mean, dude, he has a real keen sense of style. And I do think that that girl was about to be in for the pounding of her life with an older gentleman such as McLovin. If the cops
25
didn't
years,
burst in.
dude.
Yeah, 25 years of experience.
25 years young.
So, yeah,
I did
McLovin
not
is my
include
number one.
him just because I didn't think, I think on a technical level, he definitely counts as a side character, but I
Yeah.
feel like he didn't really embody the spirit of what we're going for with top side character. I felt like he was just past that line of, if he's a character that when you think of the movie is like immediately coming to mind, I'm looking for someone who like you almost forget is a main part of that movie, and then you remember and you're like, oh yeah, that guy was sick.
Second level type shit. I mean, yeah, I mean, I think McLovin, kind of like Chumley on Pawn Stars, was intended to be a side character but broke out into notoriety. So I think for this episode, Officer Slater is the winner
Yeah,
and the
it does seem he has the highest score.
newest thumbnail member, which is funny because I actually can think of a few more movies from the same time period where he has a good chance of being the top side character as well. So he might be the first of many appearances for Bill Hader,
He might
another
be, yeah,
favorite
he'd
actor
be the
of the
first
Smash Cut.
two-time winner.
Could be. But before we move on to the next category, I just want to do a quick couple shout outs to some honorable mentions that I want to give their chance in the sun. So the home ec teacher, just so clearly fed up with her job. Very funny. The liquor store clerk, just crying over her veterinary school exam. And then I also love just her scream when that guy just comes in and punches Fogel.
Yeah.
And then Francis, who I think this might be the only world or high school where he's considered to be a cool person. The mullet and glasses is just an awful look, and he looks like he hasn't seen the sunlight. Officer Michaels and his terrible cardio and his infinity for flashlight tag. Very funny. I think Seth Rogen was perfectly cast in this role. Just a little bit outshined by Officer Slater, but very funny character nonetheless.
Yep.
And then Francis we've discussed already. And then McLovin's love interest, Nicola. One funny thing, not with her, but with a lot of the side characters in the movie, I did like her bold choice to wear a thong to school. That was a hot take. But a lot of the side characters in the movie that didn't really have significant parts, Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg just thought it'd be funny if they added like random porn last names to their names in the credits. So a lot of them, it's like Scarlett Broadbent, who's like some lady who has like one line in the movies like that. That was a good touch. And then in terms of I think no-brainer categories, I don't even think the memeable moment for this movie's discussion, it is the McLovin fake ID reveal.
Yeah, I wrote down the cops drinking with McLovin just because I wanted to not pick the most obvious one. Clearly, it's the fake ID.
It's the
one
fake ID reveal.
as the winning moment. I just thought it would be funny to have the one with McLovin and the two cops, and it's like me after I get pulled over for the DUI and talk my way out of it.
I will say my runner-up for this is the sequence of Seth dancing with the girl as Big Papa plays, or the sequence of Evan dancing with a drunk Becca, and he's kind of doing the locomotion.
Yeah.
Very funny. A lot of great dance sequences in this movie. Three guys who knew how to get their moves on, dude.
I think best quote is difficult because this is such a quotable movie.
I had I literally did choose probably between 30 quotes that I rattled off during this podcast for this. The ultimately, and I guess he's going to sweep every award, but I do have a McLovin quote for this. When he said, "It's not the going with the ladies I care about, it's the coming." That just the way he delivered that is so funny, and you can just tell from the delivery of that line that he has no idea what he's talking about.
Yeah. I loved. I think if I had to narrow it down, just because it was the one that I didn't like see coming at all, was the $7. That's not enough for anything. What are you, a fucking 6-year-old?
Oh man, there are like 50 other choices I could have picked with this. I mean, just to rattle off a few that I've already probably irritated the audience by just saying verbatim, but you know how many foods are shaped like dicks? The best ones. So what, I gotta sit here and eat dessert alone like I'm fucking Steven Landsberg? Funny thing about my back is it's located on my cock. Muhammad is the most commonly used name in the English language. Read a fucking book. I had to catch a glimpse of these warlocks. Let's make a move. And then when toward the end of the movie, when he goes, "Be careful, it's a meaningful sweater to me. It's vintage." Just banger after banger. And prepare to be fucked by the long dick of the law. Just, I mean, the list goes on, man.
Yeah.
There's almost every single scene in this movie has 2 or 3 lines that are just insanely quotable and stick with me, like just in random thoughts. I'm like, I remember that.
Yeah. All right. Well, did you think it was too long, too short, or just right?
Perfect length. I mean, the extended cut added funny shit, but I mean, there's a reason it was an extended cut. I've seen the original cut again 3 times. I know beat by beat the movie, and I feel like every scene, like I said, funny quotes, just usually a funny either physical gag or facial expression. And then every single scene, too, in some way is either advancing the plot line of the movie or the relationships of the characters. There are a lot of movies, and I do enjoy when they do this, but they'll just have like a random funny scene that has no relevance to the plot. Every single scene in this movie did advance the plot in some way, and they were all hilarious.
For comedies, especially from this
yeah.
time period.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, I wouldn't change a thing about this movie.
I said that I think that the extended edition is too long, only because I think that some of the scenes that they cut out of the original version, the movie was better off with them not being in it. That it just made it a bit tighter and like a nearly perfect beat by beat shot. Whereas some of the extended scenes were like, I could have done without that.
That's why it's the extended edition, dude.
Well, I know. I'm just saying. Like, I think that, having seen both now, I think the original cut might be just incrementally better.
All right, so this is actually a new award that we are introducing for this podcast, and it is the off-screen MVP of the movie. So, Matt, who do you have for this award?
So originally I had put the writers, but then on watching the behind the scenes really made me appreciate the band that did. I don't know if they're a band or they just got 3 guys who play funk really well, but the funky band of Catfish Collins, Bernie Sorrell, and Bootsy Collins.
Bootsy Collins is a pretty well-known musician for
Bernie
something.
Sorrell is from something like Funkadelic or something, but
that sounds right. Maybe
yeah, but they like watching them play like to the scenes in the movie and them having fun. It was like, okay, yeah, the score of this movie is very underrated. Like they really nailed every scene, and it's such a unique score too. Like just funky music.
Dude, they might have what it takes to be on the Kill Tony band one day. They're lucky.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so you touched on already my off-scene MVP. So Seth Rogen is an actor in the movie, but this is specifically for his role as a writer of the movie. And then Evan Goldberg as well. They are actually a very frequent, and you don't really know it because Evan Goldberg is not really an on-screen talent, but they're a very frequent creative duo. I think almost every one of Seth Rogen's comedies, Evan Goldberg is credited as a co-writer. And I don't really know what their writing process is. If I had to guess, I would say it's likely Seth Rogen is doing more of the jokey stuff and Evan Goldberg is actually kind of weaving the plot together. But whatever formula they have, it worked perfectly in this movie.
Yeah.
I mean, I rattled off probably 40 quotes in doing this. I literally had to keep pausing the movie because it was like, this is hilarious. I remember this line from the last time I watched it. I have to write this down. And then like another 5 or 8 of those in the running for best quote. And most of the movies we watch, as I say on episode 3, but most of the movies we watch, I almost immediately know after the movie kind of what I was going to do as the quote. This movie, I had to really think, and I think that's just a testament to the writing. It is such a quotable movie, and I've touched on a lot of the little details, but I think specifically more big picture, I think it does a really good job of kind of portraying what high schoolers are like trying to lose their virginity and also kind of learning like how to behave with alcohol, for lack of a better term. Like part of growing up in high school and early college is like you learn your alcohol tolerance, you learn settings where you should be drinking, you learn settings where you should not be drinking. You learn when to dial it back, to ramp it up, and it's kind of like you're watching these kids throughout the movie figure this out in real time and also figure out like beyond more abstract ideas of like, oh, I've seen women in porn, or like Evan's mom is so hot or whatever, like actually interact with girls their age and kind of like realize that like, and not great wording by me, but like these are like people like us too. Like they're not like mythical kind of like aspirational figures to like try
Yeah,
to
the
get
parties
with.
weren't even that unrealistic. Where I feel like almost every movie that has a high school party, it's always some preposterously large
Yeah,
throwdown at a mansion. And these were like still large, but not ridiculous. And I felt like everything that wasn't the cop stuff was very realistic. And then the cop stuff was just like more out
hilarious.
there and silly, but like
Yeah.
complemented well with the more grounded main plot.
Yeah. So before we get into our rating of the movie, I have 3 questions. I only wrote one down, but I have them all stored in my head because the hammer is sharp. But
Yeah.
the for this movie, so first of all, immediately what I thought before you even watched this movie, what is your favorite food that is shaped like a dick?
Oh, kielbasa, easy.
Go big or go home.
Yeah, dude.
Mine is food that is very dirty and bad for you. Probably like sucking dick is. Wouldn't know. Never tried it. But
You think it's bad for you? Why would it be bad for you?
I don't know, dude. There's probably some nasty juices in there. I wouldn't want to
What
suck my
is
dick.
wrong with you if that's the case, dude?
Well, if you're eating a lot of corn dogs, which is my pick for this, your semen is probably very nasty, dude.
Like, dude, what are you doing wrong?
I don't know, dude. Well, you know what? Some things are better left unsaid on podcasts. But the actually, I'll just say one thing I've heard about in recent years that I wish I didn't was there's this thing called sounding where guys will just stick shit up their urethra. And I'm just thinking about like how nasty it must be for whatever girl has to suck. They're like prolapse urethra later on after this shit gets recovered from it. That must be disgusting. Whatever girl had to do that before, that must be disgusting. I know that's getting away from the point of the question, and
If
I
anyone
don't think
in the audience
advertisers
wants
are
to
going to
comment
like
and let us know.
my thought here. Yeah, anyone who's had that experience, comment and let us know. But corn dogs would be my pick here. I can't eat them very often because they're extremely unhealthy. I actually think they're like one of the 10 least healthy foods because hot dogs apparently are really bad for you, and then they're deep fried on top of that, but they're so good. So I think we should move on to the next question.
Yeah,
which
what's your
also dick related. So
Oh, right.
if you could have any historical figure or painting or moment in time captured, but all the figures in it are penises, what would you do?
There's some easy pickings here. Definitely The Last Supper.
God damn it, that was my pick.
Oh, get fucked.
That was fucked.
Yeah, I think that's an obvious pick right there. And also, it would be really funny if they wherever the real Last Supper painting is, if there is a real one left somewhere, if someone just like replaced it with that and didn't say anything.
Joke's on you, Matt, because I had a backup, which
Oh,
is
okay.
I don't know what the name of the painting is, but you know the painting where I believe it's David, it might be another figure, is like touching the tip of his finger with God.
Oh yeah.
You replace both of them with dicks. And then the angels are like mini chodes around.
That would be pretty good, dude.
That would be pretty
Would
funny.
you buy that painting right out of the gallery?
I do not think that my girlfriend or most visitors would appreciate me displaying that in my home. So I'm going to go with a no on that one. But that brings me to my final question, which has nothing to do with the dicks,
No, okay.
which is you have to pick 3 characters from this movie, and to avoid the obvious, I'm going to say that you can pick the rules of this. One of the 3 is one of the 3 main guys, but you can only pick one. One of the 3 is an adult character in the movie, and then one of the 3 is one of the female characters in the movie.
Okay.
So my pick for this,
Wait, pick
McLove,
3 in general?
from the movie, but dream blunt rotation. I missed that element of it.
that's
Dream blunt
important.
rotation. That's an important element. So my picks would be McLovin. I think that's a no-brainer of the main 3.
Easy.
I would go with I feel like just because it's Seth Rogen, Officer Michaels would be my choice for adult. And then girl, I would go with Evan's mom.
Oh, big surprise there, dude. I
Shocker
didn't see
for
that one
me.
coming.
Did not see that one coming. But thinking about it, Jules doesn't really seem like she's into drugs. Becca seems like she would have zero tolerance with the blunt. And the home ec teacher, unfortunately, you're gonna get edged by what's his name? Evan's mom. And I
my
briefly
pick-
did consider McLovin's love interest, but I don't want there to be sexual tension at at the smoke sesh, so
Yeah,
she's out.
that'd mess it up for you.
Yeah.
I think I would go with the home ec teacher and
Okay.
Seth, so I could watch those two interact baked, and then
Okay.
also Officer Slater, so that he could be sitting next to me making commentary about it.
All right. All right. Do you have any special awards for this movie?
No, you took them all with that one. I'm good on those. I'm
Oh
ready to give my
man.
final rating.
All right. Do you want to go first with your final rating, Matt?
I already know what yours is going to be just before we even watch the movie, but I put this one at a solid 9 out of 10
Okay.
because I think it's pretty much a perfect movie, but not my favorite comedy movie. Probably not even in my top three. So I think because of that alone, it can't get a 10.
Okay. So depending on the day, and I don't want to say what my other movies are because and then I guess for context, or sorry, were you still doing your review?
No, no, that's fine. That's
Oh,
fine.
okay.
You can
I have a lot to say here. So,
go. I know.
as you guys may have picked up on, I would say Matt's wheelhouse for movies is kind of superhero nerd shit kind of thing. Among some other ones, I would say he's more
I would say I
more.
like those. It's probably a minority of the movie I
I
watched,
would
but
say like also kind of like uh, dramas, and then the works of Tarantino, which we'll get into in points in
yeah, I
this
feel like
podcast.
it's mostly those in comedies that I watch.
My absolute wheelhouse, and it's pretty narrow. There are some just like dudes rock 80s 90s action type beat, but honestly the bulk of movies I watch in my free time outside of the podcast are comedies, and specifically 2000s comedies. So you have my favorite genre movie, my favorite era, and a movie depending on the day is my second or third ranked movie. It's very close between that and two. All of my favorites we will eventually do on this podcast. A side project I do just for my own enjoyment, which is kind of a psycho take by me, is every movie from what I consider the golden 20-ish years of comedy. So 1994, when Jim Carrey had his huge year, to 2016, which is the last year that there was a ton of studio comedies actually getting theatrical releases before a variety of factors that have been discussed to death and I think would make boring podcasting made that not possible. People, I will say with that, people do point to the wokeification of things, which I think is a very lazy reasoning for this. I think the main two reasons, in my view, are there's been more of a shift for studios for franchises, which comedies typically aren't, and movies that will appeal to an international market. I think this movie is very American
Yeah.
focused. I think this would be a tough sell to Chinese
I
audience
mean, you
or
definitely just could
even
not show that movie in China.
yeah, or even like a European audience. I don't think it lands the same. And then the other thing I think for that is just the rise of streaming. I think a lot of these movies kind of just get pushed direct to streaming, and Netflix specifically, I will call out for this because they're the main streaming platform I use and the one I've seen the worst examples of this. So, although I've seen similar things happen with Prime, the way that their approaches to making movies and what they fund is essentially designed to be like a second or third stream at screen as somebody is playing like
Yeah.
TikTok or like Subway Surfers on their phone or
Just
something.
a horrible way to make
and
movies.
and like you can tell that in the way they make their movies. Action movies they have the same issue with, but I think it's especially pronounced with comedies. It's just very lazy writing. Some of the things almost feel like they're experimenting with prototypes of AI and writing the script. So there have been some good recent return to theater comedies. I want to call out a few in recent years because we only cover things that are 10 plus years old. But
I
the
thought
new
Hard Feelings was with
Hard
Jennifer
Feelings
Lawrence was funny.
was really funny. No Hard Feelings. The Naked Gun reboot I thought was
Oh,
very well
that
done.
was great.
And then Friendship with Tim
Oh yeah,
Robinson and
dude, that's
Paul
another
Rudd was
classic. Now.
hilarious. And then one movie I haven't seen but have heard is really good that's came out recently is a movie called Nirvana, the band, the movie. So planning on checking that out at some point. But I digress.
Yeah.
So my actual review of the movie. So this is one of the movies. This is one of the reasons I wanted to start this podcast was to discuss movies like this in depth. Like I said, it's one of my favorite comedies. This is obviously a 10 out of 10 for me. I am a little more generous with my ratings to a point. I try to be fairly selective with my 10s. There are a few movies I've peeped our upcoming schedule that I might be giving a 10 to in the near future, but there's not a lot overall. And I mean, this movie I could throw on at any point, just skip to a random part and laugh, have a good time. I think that the writing, just the way the plot flows and the realism they show, is something that's very uncommon in 2000s comedies. And it's one of those movies that kind of finds a way to push things to the limit while still kind of grounding things in reality somewhat, which I think is a really great kind of balance. And I mean, I've already talked about, I thought the three leads were great. I also think that Bill Hader and Seth Rogen, very underrated comedic duo. And
Yeah,
I feel
actually,
like
I don't think they've ever. I can't think of anything they've done together after that.
besides this, yeah, I think they were both in Paul together. Seth Rogen was the alien, and Bill Hader was a cop in that one
Oh
as well.
well, I meant I don't know if that really counts.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, but where they're like playing off each other like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, very good comedic duo, and I mean, I wouldn't change a single casting choice of the movie. Even minor characters, like shout out one more time, Hiroki, were perfectly cast, and yeah, I mean, this is one of the reasons I wanted to start the podcast, is to talk about movies like this and share that with the world. So yeah, 10 out of 10 for Superbad. Just an absolute banger of the movie, and
Came away with the same score as Mud then, 9.5.
9.5 out of 10. Like I said, just an absolute banger of a movie, banger of an episode. I think this will end up being our first episode over 2 hours long, which is a testament to how much I like this movie that I can yap about it for 2 hours. And I know this was definitely a very me heavy episode. I think last episode was probably more of a Matt heavy episode. That's not a coincidence. I think the next episode will be a true 50-50, like our first episode.
Neither of us have seen it.
Yeah, so brand new movie. As I said, I think Superbad is
And we'll be in person.
Yeah, and first in-person episode, live episode in person next week, not actually streaming live, but we'll be in the same room together.
Yeah.
And this movie, I think, is one of the most recent comedies to be considered an iconic top comedy of all time. The movie we're watching next week, I think we may have already given away, but one of the oldest movies that is considered to be a top comedy of all time. We are watching Some Like It Hot next week. Jack Lemmon, Tony Curtis, Marilyn Monroe are the three main actors in that movie. I have not seen a single movie with any of them. So this will truly be a new experience for me. I've watched very few movies from pre-70s time period, so this will be an interesting one. I'm looking forward to it, looking forward to discussing with Matt, and gonna probably have some very hot takes on that one without knowing anything about it, just knowing how the hammer is. But anyway, that's a review. I'm Blake Hammer. This is Matt Grayson. And until next time, stay smashed.